But all right, Conor Bierfeldt back on the podcast. Welcome back, Conor. We give the people what we want at Riding the Bus podcast, and a lot of people wanted more Conor. They wanted you back.
That's something that's never been said before in history of Conor.
Nobody was more surprised than me. Okay, but listen, I give the people what they want.
Is that what you do?
Yes,
you're a people pleaser.
I'm a facilitator of pleasure.
I'm not going to touch that. If we went back to the people that we played baseball with, they would the number one adjective with Bennett Perry is people pleaser. I'm not using the other P word that you just did. But.
All right, fair enough. Anyways, Conor Bierfeldt back. Obviously, after our draft special, I feel like we should probably comment on that. The draft came, draft went.
Yeah.
Let's get right into it.
It did. The best part about the draft is obviously the lead up is super exciting, especially when you're into football, the NFL. You're a big NFL guy. I'm a big college guy and an NFL guy, so it merges well. So you have the run up, the build up. That's super fun to talk about. You have the draft, like that is the pinnacle. But then, like afterwards, you get to dissect. Like I listen to other podcasts, like the 2-for-1 draft podcast on PFF. You get to talk about the teams and what they did. The Patriots and the 49ers. We get to kind of dissect. Like, do we like it? Do we not like it? Obviously, we had our big Mac Jones, Justin Fields
for our
thing.
Listeners, we should say we were texting throughout the entire draft. So we were having a lot of these conversations.
It was
obviously.
so. I mean, I don't know if this will mean anything to the listeners. I'm not used to having listeners, but
right. I don't appreciate when you put listeners in air quotes. We have people that listen.
Yes. Thank you for listening.
Yes.
So we played together mainly for 2 years, right? It was 2014. It was my first year at least in Delmarva, and then we both repeated. That's probably why we're on the couch right now, but we both repeated. So I think it was 2015 because I think we were a little bit better friends because the draft would have been super early in 2014. And I vividly remember you having your phone in the bullpen in Delmarva and me playing left field, and each inning I kind of took a nice wide angle and who did we take? All right, I'm like, that's the left field. Yeah,
I remember that.
So
it was one of those. This is why I like the podcast and like having people like you on. And I had forgotten about that little tidbit, and that brought me back to that time.
Which is like, so we both played indie ball, right? And obviously we'll talk about NFL, but you playing indie ball, like that's our most recent experience, right? Like that was so chill, low key. Like having a phone in the bullpen is like not a big deal.
Right.
But like your second or third year in pro ball, like
I was putting my job on the line.
Yes. If like obviously like Millsy's a dude, but
and I do it again. So
it's the NFL draft, baby.
Yeah.
This is what we do. Our whole career has been built up for this moment right here for the listeners.
Yeah. Do you watch Bill Burr stand up?
Oh my God, I don't watch much stand up. He would be. Maybe
Have you seen his bit on the NFL draft? It's like a small. He basically is like making fun of people that watch the NFL draft. It's
making fun of us.
It's like it's a list that comes out the second it's over. You can just read the people that sit there and watch each pick. It's like, why don't you just wait till it's over and then you can just read every person? I'm like. And I've watched that, and I laugh at it, and it's funny, and I'll still watch the NFL draft.
It's a 12-hour process. Yeah. It's like two hours in the first day, 3 hours in the next day, 5 hours in the next day. We're watching every single pick.
When it got into like rounds 5 or 6, I want to say like I was texting you as I was watching it. I think even you were like, I mean, I've turned it off.
Yeah, well,
we're at round 6, or you were watching Outlander.
Outlander, yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm still in this, all right, let's get to it. Do you have any off the top of your head initial reactions, winners, losers, what you liked, what you didn't like? We can start round by round. We can go overall. We can
So let's talk about our teams first because I would love. We've obviously talked through the Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Mac Jones. I'm not going to call it the debacle. Let's trust in Bill, but. I want to get your thoughts on Trey Lance, and then I can touch on Mac Jones a little bit, and then obviously we may both be quasi Chicago Bears fans for the next decade. So tell me about Trey Lance, Bennett.
So ultimately, I will say it's tough. I will listen. If you listen to the podcast, I think we even talked about on the next podcast I did. I think with Jake Reed, where I talked about how I felt about Justin Fields. It's well documented. I would have gone Justin Fields. The problem I always had was the process of them wanting Mac Jones didn't make any sense to me. So taking Trey Lance to me is at least the right process of what they were looking. You're looking for a tools guy. That's who Kyle Shanahan. That's where I was more willing to be like, I'll trust in Kyle Shanahan. if he went Mac Jones over Trey Lance or Justin Fields, I was going to have a harder time just being like, oh, I trust in Kyle type of thing. Because I'm like, no, that is the wrong process, as I see it, of trading up in the first round for a quarterback.
Yeah.
And not getting like your toolsy, your freak of nature athlete type of guy. Just getting a guy that's like, well, we think he can run the offense well. That's when you cross your fingers and you hope he falls to at 12 then.
Yeah.
You know, like as the Patriots did when he got to 15. It's not what you trade that up for. So it just never made any sense to me.
Yeah.
Whereas I go, listen, I would have taken Justin Fields over Trey Lance. And now since the draft, stuff starts coming out where, you know, they fell in love with Trey Lance in the interview process. Where it's like, I'm not a part
that from everybody.
Right. So I'm not a part of that. And that's where it's like, that's where I'm more okay being like, okay, I'll let this play out before I give a take on it. Where, ultimately Kyle is a genius when it comes to football, you know, and I'm okay being like, if that's your guy, if that's a guy you fell in love with watching him play. And in the interview process, we talked about his play a little bit. You know, I think there's a lot of stuff on tape that I find worrisome.
Yeah.
You know.
We were a couple days before that. I totally forgot about that.
Right.
We were watching, I was watching tape specifically. And I know it wasn't a good game. Right. It was the only game he played in 2020.
I keep going back to, you got to be careful on taking like bad games.
Yeah.
You know, everyone has bad games.
Yeah.
If you don't have a bad game in your career, you haven't played long enough in any sport, you know? So it was the same thing with Justin Fields, where it felt like everyone was bringing up that Indiana game. You know, it's like, let's stay away from just like, this guy had a bad game here, how did they react to it? Which was the worst part about Trey Lance's one game season, is we didn't get to see him come back from that. Like, you know, he didn't have an interception in his first season. Yeah. So it was his first one it would have been nice to see how he responded to that type of thing. But no, it's an exciting thing. I think it was a collective exhale from Niners Nation, as they call themselves. You
don't call yourself that?
I don't like acting like I'm a part of the team. Mm-hmm. You know, like I am a fan of the team. I don't like to we're a part of we. Yeah. You know, like I don't like that stuff. Yeah. So I try to stay away from that, but excuse me, follow it like all on Twitter and stuff like that. And it seemed like there was a giant exhale that it wasn't Mac Jones. Yeah. So, and I think I was a part of that.
Well, I think it helps the I don't know what the contract situation is for Jimmy G, but I mean, it's Jimmy G's team in 2021, right? I think that was your process that everybody was going to sit no matter what, right?
I said that's what I would do.
Yeah.
I don't know if I believe that's what's going to happen. I just think we just live in a day and age now in maybe specifically NFL or in sports in general, is that when you take a guy that high, especially a quarterback, they play. And I think the argument can also be made for Trey Lance. It's like, listen, he just sat out a season. Yeah. You know, his whole thing is that he's young and he's raw and he needs to play. So, you know, then the argument is, well, listen, Aaron Rodgers sat for like 4 years and I think he's okay. Type of thing. So I just like the idea of like learning the playbook and getting everything down before going in. But I also can understand, and the other thing is the main reason they did this whole thing in the first place is because Jimmy G can't stay healthy. Yeah. So it might not be up to if Trey Lance plays early or not. He might have to.
There was a good, and I'm not gonna remember the tweet well enough, but there was a tweet that someone put out. I think it was the Matt Ryan year. Whenever Matt Ryan got drafted, it might have been the same year as Joe Flacco. Okay. I'm kind of everybody before that, for the most part, with obvious outliers, didn't play until game 14, 15, 16, 17 of their career. Matt Ryan came in, number one pick. Joe Flacco, I think, was a first rounder in some regard, and they both played like game one. And after that, it was like, oh, this is possible. Like people can play week one. So it was an interesting.
But it's still, and we talked about it, I want to say on the special, of most of the best quarterbacks sit for. You know.
What did Josh Allen do? Because I'm curious.
I think he played right away.
I would be.
So that's the comp. I think that's one of the things. That's the comp of like, no, Josh Allen needed to get all that shit out of his system, basically. And I didn't think he had a good season until this last year. A lot of people thought 2 years ago when they went to the playoffs and lost the Texans that he played really well. I personally didn't think he played that well. So I was a little late to it. I'm still a little skeptical of Josh Allen. Because I'm like, to me, it was only one good season. Yeah. And his first 2 years, I was like, no, he kind of was extremely inconsistent in all the stuff that was showing up in college. It's weird because Trey Lance, stats-wise, like very consistent, you know, protector of the football, like all that kind of stuff. It's just when you watch those games, I think ultimately my biggest takeaway, because I went back and watched it like a third time after they drafted him, right?
The
Trey Lance.
Tape in general?
Yeah, just all the games again.
Yeah.
You know, I watched it twice before.
Third time full.
No, because now I was like, now that I know he's the guy, I'm going to watch it again.
Yeah, you said that. Yeah, we were texting.
And I think ultimately my takeaway was I just didn't like the way he was used at North Dakota State.
Yeah, they said I've listened to people say that like the offenses. Well, they don't need to. They're running an unbelievable machine of a D1
so this is what would happen. You know, because I'm watching just his cut-ups, and it's only whoever makes the video. I appreciate if you're listening for cutting up these videos, but it's only of every play he's involved in.
Yeah.
So, and he runs a lot. Yeah. So anything he throws or runs. So he'd be doing a play in like the second quarter or something like that. They're up like 10-7. You know, they go down, they get a drive going. There were some things you like, some things you don't like. Kick a field goal, 13-7. He gets the ball back again, and it's 35-7 North Dakota State. I'm like, what just happened?
They literally didn't need their quarterback.
Yeah, it's like, oh, well, and then I looked it up. It's like, well, they had a drive where they just ran the ball, but they were averaging like 10 yards a carry. Then it was a pick six. And it's like, well, yeah, now he doesn't need to throw the ball anymore.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah. So there was just never, they kind of used him as a running back / quarterback, second almost. So I just don't love the way they used him. So it was kind of hard to tell. But I think ultimately the word I would use would be excited. I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah. And that is we've been a little bit spoiled. Not to pat myself on the back because I had nothing to do with it, but me more than you.
Pat yourself on the back. I like
it. We've been spoiled. I've been spoiled in the NFL realm with the Patriots and right. how good they've done. But realistically, if you're in the bottom 15, if you're in the top half of the draft, top 16, all you can ask for is to be excited. Ask something to be excited about. And what a transition to my next point. How unexciting is Mac Jones?
Yeah, it's just tough because it's such a... I think you had mentioned it multiple times of he is just a Bill Belichick guy.
I mean, sure. Like, it doesn't surprise... It surprises nobody. People were mocking this pick way back when, people started doing mock drafts.
I think the problem... maybe we didn't get into all of it in the first one. We got into a lot, but maybe... sometimes I listen back to these. I'm like, I didn't make that point I wanted to make. And one of the things I want to make on Mac Jones, where it's not fair to put it on him, and I think we talked a little bit about not scouting schools type of thing. But one of the problems I have with Mac Jones is I wasn't a big Tua guy.
Yeah.
And then so Tua coming in, and I think, listen, it was 1 year, but I think somewhat proving some people that if you didn't like Tua, kind of proving you're right. Or at least, at the very least, the Dolphins should have gone Herbert over Tua.
Sure. Yeah, that was
type of thing.
Yeah.
So kind of being like, I thought this last time with this guy. What'd you just do?
I just clipped the shoe. You don't have to edit that.
Yeah. I forgot what I was going to say.
Tua, Herbert.
Yeah, so I thought this about Tua.
Scouting the school.
No, I thought this about Tua is that he, has some ability, but he has a stacked team.
Yeah. And
I really don't think this is going to translate type of thing. So I think that did kind of carry over with Mac Jones, where a lot of the talk about Mac Jones was, and I think we texted about this, where it was like, well, at least he's the most accurate. He does this. And I'm like, that's just not what I saw. I did not see the most accurate quarterback of the guys I watched. I thought he was more accurate consistently than Trey Lance. Mm-hmm. I did not think he was more accurate than Justin Fields. I just didn't. And it depends on accuracy. You're going completion percentage, maybe, but that's not easier. Accuracy.
Yeah.
But also the thing I texted you, it was a stat of where it's like nobody was helped more by screens and RPOs than like Mac Jones.
You sent that before the draft, didn't you?
Right.
Yeah.
And I was just like, and that's what I mean. Like, well, yeah, completion percentage is going to be
Trevor
high.
Lawrence was as well, though.
I think he was. I actually think Trevor Lawrence is number one.
Yeah.
And I said there was more things I thought to question, but that's what I was talking about. Those two were very high up there. And the very bottom of the draft eligible guys was Justin Fields. Mm-hmm. And that was part of it just means that, not that you don't get help. I mean, obviously Justin Fields has great talent at Ohio State, but the idea with the Mac Jones thing of when it was talked about accuracy is like, I think a lot of this is just,
people are open.
Not even people open, but just like it's designed. You're just either giving it to Najee Harris. It's an RPO where you're hitting Devontae Smith, which should be for most of the time a 10-yard completion turns into a 70-yard touchdown. Yeah, it's going to make your numbers look better. I thought he showed really good pocket awareness. Yeah. He did a lot of things where I'm like, no, I think he's a first-round prospect. Like, I don't have a problem with him. He ultimately went where I thought he should go. Not to the Pats. Yeah. I just thought he should be the 5th quarterback drafted. Yeah. So it just bothered me that he was being talked about as the 3rd.
Right.
I would still say I think 15 is probably too high type of thing, like just overall. But like being the 5th quarterback drafted, I'm like, yeah, I'm not saying that he's just terrible. I'm not saying that he's can't be a good starter. I'm saying I don't see like franchise potential. And if I'm taking a quarterback in the first round, I'd like you to have franchise potential.
Yeah, and I think obviously we're not the quarterback scouting world is not infallible. Like especially us baseball players scouting quarterbacks, like
Right.
we're going to be wrong. So I'm going to hold my
I don't think
hopes.
I've ever been wrong.
Trust me, I know. I've heard that before.
I'm kidding.
I'm going to hold out
Been wrong twice.
Prestige isn't black and white, by the way.
Little inside joke for our listeners. All right. You're going to hold out hope. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to hold out hope that Mac Jones can be a franchise quarterback because he does things that the Patriots have gotten used to. And I'm not comparing him to Tom Brady, but
Well, let's get into okay, so what do you, that depends on your definition of a franchise quarterback. Is a franchise quarterback just somebody that you can...
when you drafted Tom Brady, obviously you didn't draft him. You never would have sat here in 1999 and thought, okay, that guy's a franchise
No,
quarterback.
I know. I'm saying like, is Jimmy G a franchise quarterback?
No.
Okay.
Well,
I'm saying like, does a franchise quarterback have to be like a top 10 quarterback?
no.
Or is a franchise quarterback just a starting quarterback?
Let's go. We got some lists on the thing. How many franchise quarterbacks are in the NFL right now?
I don't have that list.
So I pointed to the thing because you have lists on the computer. But so obviously Mahomes, Rodgers.
Right. See, the way I view franchise quarterbacks is it's not that long of a list to me. It's a very kind of select few of like they transcend any team. You always have a chance because they're your quarterback. I got maybe like 5 or 7 in the league right now.
The hard part is the younger guys.
Like I'd go Mahomes, I'd go Rodgers. I mean Breeze when he was in. Obviously now he's gone.
You can count Brady. I mean it's a different franchise, but Brady's
yeah, I mean like right now not as much, but
he's a franchise quarterback. He just won the Super Bowl.
See,
Put your finger.
I just love that some guys get credit for winning Super Bowls and other guys. Some guys are not allowed to have a good defense and run game and receivers, and so they get no credit. And then other guys, or not other guys, one other guy is allowed to have arguably the greatest wide receiver, offensive line, defense, coaching, and he gets all the credit.
He didn't though.
No, it's cool. Like you throw 3 interceptions in the second half of the NFC Championship game, but it's way to lead your team to the Super Bowl. I don't know. You know. Anyway. Okay, fine. Brady. Why can't I think of other guys?
Russ.
See, like I'd put like someone like Kyler in that. Like, so we talk about the younger guys like Kyler Murray, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen. Well, I still want to see where he goes from here. Yeah. Deshaun Watson. When you start talking about the young guys, no, I would say right now they're not that yet. When we're talking about Kyler Murray and those guys, but I'm like, those are guys that they have potential to be guys that in a cap league where sometimes you're losing guys, you're always going to have a chance because that guy's your quarterback. I mean, for years, think about the Packers for a lot of years weren't even competing for Super Bowls because their team really wasn't that good outside Rodgers. Yeah. And then he'd get hurt and they'd have nothing. But with him, they always had a chance to go to the playoffs and win their division. To me, that's a franchise quarterback. Like the Chiefs, if tomorrow, Tyreek Hill, Kelsey, Frank Clark, Tyrann Mathieu, they just start getting hurt. I'm like, yeah, there's no way they're winning a Super Bowl, but they're still probably going to compete for that division or go to the playoffs.
Because of him.
And it's not going to look as pretty and stuff like that, but no, Pat Mahomes is going to get him in a position to win. To me, that's a franchise quarterback.
I know your answer, but is Lamar Jackson a franchise quarterback?
He's by far the toughest one, right? Because he's an MVP. I would say
he's done literal things that nobody's ever done.
I'll tell you why I would say yes is because my number one criteria for I think a franchise quarterback, as I think about it, is that they're always going to have you in position of going to the playoffs, and I think he will do that. Yeah, I think he limits them ultimately of winning a championship
in the playoffs,
right? And I think that makes his contract and what you're willing to give him tricky. But no, I think he's shown that you're always going to have a chance to go to the playoffs. And to me, that's what a franchise quarterback is. And if you think about it from a business standpoint, if you're the owner of a team, how much more money you get, if you're a franchise that goes to the playoffs consistently and stuff like that. That's kind of what I would think you would think about it from a business perspective of a franchise quarterback. Yeah. And so are you getting me home games in the playoffs type of thing? And I think, I would say Lamar Jackson could do that. Do I think he's winning those games? Not necessarily, but I think he can.
Right? Has he won a playoff?
No, he has not. But I'm saying or just in general going forward, I wouldn't be surprised if that continues. But I would say he probably is because he gives you he'll probably always give you a chance.
But he's on good teams, right? I mean, those Raven teams are just always well built. So do we know for sure that?
No, we don't know for sure. But I'm saying at least to this part, no, because I would say when he took over, at least in his first year, like they were on trajectory not to be very good. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was Joe Flacco. He's near the end of his career, but he took over and he provided that spark plug to even get them in the playoffs. Yeah. So, like, no, I think he's definitely a talent. And yeah, I would say he probably classifies as that a little bit more because, like I said, I think he always gives you a chance to beat any team or is prime time. That type of stuff is what a franchise quarterback is to me.
So yeah, I'll hold out hope that Mac Jones is a franchise quarterback.
Right. That's what I'm saying. By my definition, I would be shocked if he becomes a franchise quarterback.
Yeah, and franchise quarterback to you is top 5 in the league.
Or my point is I don't know if he'll ever get there, but Trey Lance has a chance from intangibles, and Justin Fields has a chance on intangibles. And even I still think Zach Wilson got drafted too high, but intangibles wise has a chance to be that guy. Whereas the only one guy in that draft that I didn't think on intangibles, and I don't want to be that guy where it's like, well, Brady and Breeze were great and they weren't the most athletically gifted, and I understand that. But if I'm taking a guy that high, I'd like you to be exceptional in probably a couple categories. And, I don't think Mac Jones. I'd say the one area I think he's exceptional in is I thought his pocket presence was very impressive.
Yeah, which is probably Brady's best strength. And I don't want to keep harping him because he's not going to be Tom Brady, and I have to lower my expectations. We're talking about expectations earlier. Like, he's not Tom Brady.
Right.
But I heard good things about the pre-snap reading, right? And that's also something that Brady does very well. And, I don't know the ins and outs of an NFL offense, but I think it makes it easier, right? Like, that was Sean McVay. I think he had a tough time with Jared Goff because that was part of the thing he couldn't really process.
Yeah. I have a tough time saying someone's really good with pre and post snap readings when their wide receiver won the Heisman Trophy, because to me it seemed a lot like, all right, snap the ball, don't have to Devontae Smith.
Pre-snap read is where's 6.
Oh, is he covered? Nah, it's okay.
Where's 6?
Oh, he's triple covered? Nah, let's give him a shot.
4 is too much. Yeah. Let's throw it to Waddle.
No, somebody else has got to be open if they're putting 4 guys out.
Oh, wait, we got Najee Harris back here. Did you see to moving the running backs? I mean, obviously the training camp talk is like the worst thing to listen to. I know you're not a fantasy football guy, so I won't spare you too much. That was another thing I was going to talk about that I kind of forget. But Najee Harris just like running routes out of the...
Well, okay, so we can touch on this more because I want to get to our winners and losers of the draft.
Please.
And my first loser on that note, to me, actually, I don't like saying winners and losers.
Oh, why not?
Because that's how all the like ESPN and they do it. None of these people are losers.
What do you want to use? No, that's not true. The Seahawks lost. The Texans lost.
Well, the first person I had on my losers was Travis Etienne to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh, okay.
Now, Travis Etienne is not a loser to me.
No, we're not going to call him a loser.
Okay, I would say that to me was the most head-scratching pick of the first round. And it made me think of it because I don't know if you saw, Urban Meyer said, is that all of his reps in training camp are coming at wide receiver, which doesn't make any sense to me. But also, I think I texted you when this happened, that it just made... I'm not a fan of ever drafting a running back in the first round.
Yeah, we're on the same page there.
Specifically, when you are the worst team in the league.
Yeah.
That's not where you start. Yeah. That's the last. And when the guy that is your running back right now was a 1,000-yard rusher.
As a rookie.
And they signed Carlos Hyde, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or was it Carlos Hyde?
I think it was Carlos Hyde.
They signed, they have a good running back room already. And the worst team. They got this first-round pick for trading away arguably the greatest corner in football.
Yeah.
Right? This is one of the ones they got for Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah.
To turn that into a running back.
Yeah.
And if you listen to the special,
it hurts.
I'm a huge ETN guy. Love ETN. I was pissed off because I'm like, that sucks for him. Like, I wanted him to go to like a good team. It blows my mind. It's
a luxury pick. A running back is a luxury
pick. Okay, so
right?
I'll go straight from loser. I'll go to one winner I had. Because you saw the first 2 picks in the draft were Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson, right? 2 quarterbacks. 2 bad teams drafted a quarterback.
Yeah.
Both teams had 2 first-round picks. One team, for their franchise quarterback, got him a running back. Now, his teammate running back.
Yeah,
I understand that. The other team, who was one of my winners, was the Jets. I don't know. Trading up was a little rich, but getting, I think, one of the better interior offensive linemen and understanding that that's the way you build around your franchise quarterback. That's how you protect your franchise quarterback. And then, you'll get him some weapons. They got Michael Carter later. The Jets got Elijah Moore later. Yeah, then you kind of can piece together some stuff. Like Denzel Mims, last year. Yeah. And you can kind of piece some stuff together. But what they understood, I don't know if Joe Douglas obviously knew last year that they were going to draft Zach Wilson, but like getting Mekhi Becton, understand that was where you go, and then trading up and being aggressive and getting Elijah Vera Tucker, the guard out of, well, I guess he was a tackle at USC, but I think he's going to be a guard. Yeah. But I'm saying understanding that's how you protect your franchise quarterback, not by getting him a weapon that on third down you can maybe motion him out into the slot. Like that's the last piece. So
I agree. I think we're on the same page there, right? Running back is a luxury pick. If you are close to competing and you are one guy away, a Derrick Henry away, generational talent, but like you're one guy away, sure, go ahead and get it.
I think the Steelers taking Najee Harris was still they had some needs they could have addressed, but at least you're like, this team was in the playoffs last year. They maybe one last run with Big Ben, and they wanted to get him a good running back type. Sure. At least I understand that one if that's that type of team.
Do you think it's like, I was thinking about this, it just feels like such a Pittsburgh thing to take a running back. Like they're like,
it was the worst kept secret of the draft. Everyone was like, and I was like, I don't think so. People are like, they need corners and edge rushers.
I had a buddy bet, what did they pick at 24? So it was like 26 and a half was like over under one running back pick before like 25 and a half. So basically like, well, it's either Steelers take Najee Harris or I lose this bet. Right. And they took him. And I was like, of course they did. Like that was the easiest bet in the world. But what was I going to say? The one thing I will say about the Jets, sure, that pick specifically was a winner. But if, Monday morning quarterbacking, would you have rather stayed where you were and taken Darrisaw, right? Darrisaw lasted. Yeah,
I thought it was, that's who, because they traded up with the Vikings. Yeah. And the Vikings ended up taking Darrisaw. Yeah. Well, I think it was a little rich, I would admit. I hate being that guy. It's like, you can't trade up much. It's like, listen, man, if you think you got a guy that you feel confident,
he might be the safest, one of the safest.
Well, it's also it's a philosophy of they went Becton last year. I can't think of who their other tackle is, but they might have just been, because Darrisaw is primarily a tackle.
Yeah, he's a big
so they might have just been like philosophically they'd rather have an interior offensive lineman than a tackle, and they must have felt the drop off after Elijah Vera Tucker when it came to interior linemen was pretty deep.
Did you see? And this is going to be one of my winners or home run picks. What are we calling you?
Well, I'm okay calling the good ones winners. I just feel bad calling the bad ones
Travis
losers.
Etienne loser. Travis Etienne.
I hate going to now our losers. Travis Etienne.
If Travis Etienne is a listener, you're not a loser, bud.
Yeah, I just wanted that to be clear.
So, if you saw any tape on Rashawn Slater against Chase Young,
I saw it
from a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, whatever it was before he was coming out. Yeah. I mean, that is a home run pick for the Chargers.
Right, but
you've got your guy.
But that's my point: is that they understand how to build around a franchise quarterback. Is understanding that's where you start. You still need to get him weapons, yes, but you start by getting him the people that protect him.
Yeah,
and this was because I remember last year before the draft, I'm sure they obviously liked Justin Herbert, the Chargers. They were making moves to get offensive linemen before the draft even started, getting ready to take a young quarterback. They have a luxury. They have Keenan Allen. They have Mike Williams. They have weapons already. But then, who did they take? Oh, they took Justin Herbert, and they traded back for linebacker out of Oklahoma. I'm forgetting his name, Murray. Something like that. Mm-hmm. But I'm saying understanding that is, maybe, where were the Chargers picking again?
11? 12?
Okay, so I was going to say maybe, if, Devontae Smith was still on. No, I think it was like 13 or something 13, like that. Yeah. I was going to say maybe it would have been tempting to take one of these wide receivers or something like that. Yeah. Like they were gone by then. But I'm just saying understanding that's where you go to build around it. So that I agree. I think most people are like, the Chargers.
And then they got a great job. They got Asante Samuel.
They did, yeah.
I mean, that's another just home run pick in the second.
That was kind of who I was thinking the Niners were going to get in the second round.
The Chargers had I thought that was a great draft.
The Niners picked before the Chargers. I mean, they passed on Asante Samuel
to take
Aaron Banks, the guard out of Notre Dame.
Who we both said who.
Yeah, I mean, listen, man, I'm not. I have other passions. In my life, I don't have time to just watch all the quarterback tape, corners, linebackers, defensive linemen, and then also get into every guard in the draft. But I did watch a lot of tape afterwards.
Yeah.
And I like the pick.
He's big, right?
Big, but he moves pretty well for his size. I just, again, so this is what I'll say about the Niners draft, and then, get back to winners and losers. But just overarching theme of the Niners draft is I like the philosophy of their draft. Like, every pick, I'd been like, okay, I would have picked maybe a different guy there, personally, but that is like the position or the type of player they needed to address. I just thought this guy was better, but then I'm like, okay, you probably know more than me, but understanding they needed to address the interior offensive line, get corners, like, that's what they did. Now, each one I was like, oh, maybe they'll take this guy instead of that guy. But I was like, they're on the right path of what their problem is and what they need to fix. So that's why I was ultimately pleased with with their draft.
That's good.
All right, let's get back to, second loser. I know we're in agreement with this. We might just skip this one because I was going to say Kadarius Toney to the Giants. I know.
That's the worst pick in the draft. Are you kidding
Travis
me?
Etienne is the worst pick of the draft.
No.
Yeah.
Did you hear that Urmire came out and said he wanted Toney?
Yeah.
Anyways, what are they going to do with him? I don't really want to talk
him?
about this. Like, I am going to die on this hill.
Okay.
I text because I obviously East Coast, bunch of buddies who are Giants fans, and we were texting throughout the draft, and I was like, you guys, like, you need to take Bateman. Like, Bateman is the pick here. Like, you guys need Bateman. You want a wide receiver? Take Bateman. Kadarius Toney is like the 6th best wide receiver in this draft, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's kind of high for where you had him.
No, I'm like forgetting. I was thinking like the 6th best, like starting with Bateman.
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel like
the
you
top
had
3: Bateman, Elijah Moore. I mean, I could Terrace Marshall, Rondell Moore with the Cardinals, pretty cool pick. But let's not talk about Kadarius Toney because I agree. I think he's never going to be open.
You want to go loser or
he's
winner? He's
never going to be open. Let's go winner.
Okay, so the next winner I had.
We're not using loser.
Oh, that's right. Well, I've used it a couple times now. So sorry, Kadarius. Next winner I had. I know we were in a big agreement on this player, and I really like the spot he went to, which is a sneaky, I think, becoming one of the best teams in football, and that's Greg Newsome to the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah. I mean, they like consistently.
Because I would, if I was going over my entire scouting career.
Yeah. Sure.
Denzel Ward was one of my top guys ever. Okay. Probably. Like, I was desperate. I think the Niners were in the top 10. I think it was the year they took McGlinchey at like 9, and he went 4. And some mocks, I was like, if we could get Denzel Ward. So I love Denzel Ward. So yeah, pairing Greg Newsome, Denzel Ward. To be honest, I don't watch every Browns game, so I don't know what Greedy Williams out of LSU from a couple years ago is doing, but I was also a Greedy Williams guy. Yeah. So I think their secondary, I think is pretty good.
Did they pick somebody up? They pick up a safety? Did John Johnson from the Rams, did he go to the Browns?
I don't know.
No, it doesn't.
I thought he went to like the Raiders. I thought that was like
a podcast.
Yeah, it doesn't. That's the stuff for it. Yeah. I should probably know. I don't. I apologize. But no, I just thought that was a great pick for the Browns. Yeah, adding that defense, and I think they did add some people. I can't remember every single pick, but I think I've never been the biggest Baker guy. And
in the second round, they got JOK.
Yeah.
That is like possibly the biggest.
We're gonna get that.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I can't see from here.
Well, no, I'm not. I'm just saying. Like, no, I know.
Joe Bennett.
No, I'm just saying. I just thought that was a great pick and then I was just thinking about the Browns in general. And even though I'm not the biggest Baker Mayfield guy, I was like, they kind of like have the best roster in football.
Yeah, isn't that an amazing thing?
Great offensive line. We've talked about one of the better running back tandems.
One of the best running games.
We'll see what OBJ looks like, but him with Landry, and
Donovan
your
Peoples-Jones,
guy Donovan Peoples-Jones.
And they got a guy that's like the same. Who did they take? The guy out of Auburn, Schwartz,
speed guy.
Feels like
he's not the same as Donovan Peoples-Jones.
DPJ.
No, he's a speed guy.
Donovan Peoples-Jones ran like a 4.3.
It's like the way Donovan Peoples, I feel like, wins is through possession, contested catches, catch point, physicality
down the field.
I don't think that's Schwartz's mind. I think Schwartz is like a burner. I think that was kind of every time I watch Auburn.
The way that.
Anyways, that's not important. We're not going to talk about the 5th wide receiver on the Browns. Okay, I'm just saying from a both sides of the football. Because when I think of talented rosters, I like to take the quarterback out of it. Okay. Like, take quarterback out of every team
because that can elevate such a bad roster. Right. Yeah.
So just who has the best roster? Because it's like, the Chiefs have the best roster.
As long as they have an okay quarterback, they have.
Yeah. I'm just saying, take quarterback out of it. What's the one roster you would want to start with? You might go Browns, if I'm being honest. I mean, think about it. Like,
they've got obviously above average secondary, right?
Right.
Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome.
Well,
now.
especially probably with Greg Newsome, we're thinking, and JOK, adding to it.
Myles Garrett, you've got your pass rusher. You said one of the best running games in the league.
They did sign. You know what they signed? They signed Jadeveon Clowney. I know, but I'm just saying
knee stuff. Right?
I know, but pairing him, I think Olivier Vernon is still there.
There's not a better Clowney fan than me. I love that guy. I wanted the Patriots to sign him the last however long.
He almost killed a Michigan Wolverine, so I thought maybe
decapitated him. I thought he was dead for a while. Poor Vincent
No,
Smith.
but I'm just saying I guess my point is that from a talent standpoint, the Browns, who have been the laughing stock in the league for a long time, starting to put together some drafts where it's like, well, they're pretty talented.
It's a cool story, and I'll tell you, I'm a little bit worried as a Patriots fan that the Jets are kind of getting to that. Like, they've been putting things in a really good place right now. Obviously, like with the draft, we talked about Zach Wilson, whatever, Elijah Vera Tucker, Elijah Moore.
Yeah.
Is it the same name? Elijah Vera Tucker and Elijah Moore? Yeah.
They spell it differently.
Yeah.
Elijah Moore with an E, Elijah Vera Tucker with an A for the Elijah.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'll just give another winner because it's on the same thing of a team that I think is sneaky one of the better rosters becoming in football. Don't know about their quarterback play, but that's the Washington football team.
Yeah.
They went a couple of favorites of mine. I know we talked about. They went Benjamin St. Juste, corner. I know
he's like an ex-Michigan guy. I don't really get it, but yeah.
I liked him personally.
Big, tall.
And they got De'Ami Brown
out
of UNC.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember who their first one. I think they took a linebacker. They took the Jamil Davis, Jamin Davis.
Jameen Davis,
yeah. Jamin Davis. But just like starting to look at their roster, like I'm like, damn, Washington football team.
They did.
We'll see. Fitzpatrick has kind of become, the fun guy everyone roots for and stuff like that. We'll see kind of what he can do for them. But yeah, if you're taking quarterback out of them, like roster wise, they got a pretty good roster. And I like those.
How many?
Can you just check and make sure the video's still on?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yep. Can you check and make sure?
I did. I like that you said yep, but then you actually checked.
This is a professional podcast.
Washington football
team. So this is going to be more of a fantasy thing. On my dynasty team, I do have Antonio Gibson, who's like could be a star. How many teams in the NFL, we can whittle it down to either playoff teams because they're successful or just NFL teams in general, have a first-round running back? Why are you taking a running back in the first round? Antonio Gibson was like a third rounder. And he's
Washington didn't take a.
No, I didn't. I'm saying like in terms of like roster makeup, like if you want to get to the place that.
Well, here's the problem: is that
Nick Chubb wasn't even a first rounder.
No, but here's the problem with anything, because I agree with you, but then it's like, okay, but who's the best running back in football?
Yeah, Christian McCaffrey.
Okay, top 10 pick. So it's like I see.
But that roster's dogs.
I know, but I'm saying like I can see both sides of it. It's like you're right. You don't need one, but if you want the best one, you can say about any position.
Yeah.
Tom Brady wasn't a first-round quarterback. Russell Wilson wasn't a first-round quarterback.
Yeah.
Pat Mahomes was. It's like,
yeah.
This receiver. Antonio Brown was a fifth-round wide receiver. It's like, yeah, but OBJ wasn't. So I mean, you could do that with every position.
DeAndre Hopkins.
I'm just saying positional value-wise, I just think running back is the last kind of part of the team. That's the reason why you don't take him in the first round.
I agree.
I think across the board, I think every position, one of the top, we could go through this, but I think one of at least the top three at every position was a first round pick.
What?
Like every position in football, if you were to rank them,
like the top three?
Like the top three at each position in football, one of them is probably going to be a first round pick. Like, no, there's a lot of great ones that aren't, but like, the premier ones for the most part, I feel like are normally first round picks.
Yeah, there's a reason why first round picks are valued so high.
Right.
Yeah, just don't take a running back.
Right.
All right, who?
You want more losers?
Yeah, I want some.
One loser I had, I think we maybe disagree on this, but I had Waddle going over Devontae Smith.
I didn't like that.
I didn't like that. I didn't understand.
You may have sold me on Devontae Smith, but I did. I watched the tape, and it's just like at a certain point, you have to give a guy credit when he's always open. When his job is to get open, and he's always doing his job. Like,
when you're doing it that long, that many years.
I also sorry to cut you off, but where are the Dolphins going with Waddle? Like, if he's a field stretcher. Right. They have Will Fuller. They have another guy who Jeremy Grant or that's a basketball player.
Their number one is
Devontae Parker.
Yeah, Devontae Parker.
They have another guy too, something Grant, Jakeem Grant. Okay. Jakeem Grant, field stretcher. Jalen Waddle, speeds, field stretcher, Will Ferrell.
I mean, I'm imagining their scouting department thinks of him as more than just a field stretcher.
Yeah, you have to if you take him 6 overall.
So obviously they're thinking he's going to kind of do everything. I think he's listen. I think Jalen Waddle's a good prospect. This isn't anti-Jalen Waddle. This is kind of the same thing I felt about Mac Jones. This is like him. I don't understand how he goes before Devontae Smith.
Is he? I mean, because
I don't understand how after everything Devontae Smith is the third wide receiver taken in the draft.
He's 165 pounds.
I mean, how heavy is Jalen Waddle?
I don't know.
I want to comment on that because this is the problem I have with when we talk about sports in general and evaluating guys, where some guys get stigmas, right? Devontae Smith gets a stigma that he's not going to last in the league because he's too light.
Yeah.
So instead, they draft the receiver that missed the entire season, basically getting hurt before him because he's more equipped to not get hurt at the next level. It doesn't make any sense.
People are going to get hurt. If you're going to get hurt, you're going to get hurt.
I remember it was the whole thing with Carson Wentz. It was, Carson Wentz was originally taken because he was 6'4", he weighed a lot, he's durable. I'm like, he missed almost his last year in North Dakota State because he got hurt. I'm not saying he's not. Nobody knew he was gonna get hurt at the next level. I just love that people take guys that have never been hurt in their career, be like, well, he is at risk of getting hurt, so I'm gonna take this guy who's actually been hurt in college over him. That part just didn't make any sense to me.
I don't dislike it. I don't disagree. What were we talking about?
I mean, we're talking about a lot. We're talking about the NFL.
Yeah, I love it. You just said that. I'm going to comment on something. Go ahead. I don't know. It's your podcast.
Well, because I meant we were going in a different direction, and I wanted to halt it. And I wanted
Jalen Waddle.
Yeah.
A lot of the things people were saying, he's going to.
You had made a comment about Devontae Smith being too light, and I'm saying I want to comment on that.
I want to go on record, look at the cameras. That's not a camera. Look at the camera and say, I don't think he's too light. I think he's going to be an exceptional receiver. I think he's going to struggle with Jalen Hurts as his quarterback, which brings me to my next. I'm not going to call him a loser. I think it is the epitome of an incredibly pro team pick and not good for the player is Rashad Bateman, because obviously he was my pound the table guy, right? He was the guy that I think is going to be. I think he could be.
Can he run block? Because if he can, he's got a shot.
Could you? I don't know. I've never been a wide receiver, so I'm not going to comment. But Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith, I would have taken him over Waddle, I think. And maybe that's you swayed me in the direction of Devontae Smith, and I appreciate that. But I did some tape, and again, he's always open. Right. But Bateman, I think, has a chance to be the best wide receiver in year one.
No, I know you're a big Bateman guy.
I thought he had the chance to be the best receiver in year one.
Maybe that's the thing Lamar Jackson's needed. He's needed a guy.
Yeah.
I'll be completely honest with you. He was never on my radar for the 49ers, so I didn't watch much. Mm-hmm. Watched a little bit more after our episode because I know you were big on him. But so I can't definitively tell you the type of receiver I see him being the next level. But I'm just saying maybe he's the guy that takes Lamar Jackson's passing game over the top is my point. I'm saying I don't know if he's going to do that, but obviously, hopefully he does. And if not, then it's going to be. It's kind of similar where I feel like I was pounding the table differently, but for Devontae Smith, it's like that's not really the spot that I was hoping. My pound the table guy was going to go to.
If he goes to the Dolphins, you're probably jazzed, right?
Yeah, I'm not a Tua guy, but it would be a better team at least. No, I think
Chargers. Where you
Chargers or the Bengals had taken him over.
The Bengals were never taking him over. Would you have taken Jamar Chase or Penny Sewell? I think we talked about this.
I told you Penny Sewell.
Yeah, I think I would have too.
But that's admittedly, again, I've watched a good amount of Oregon games. I've always kind of liked Oregon. I've always thought Penny Sewell was a very good player. Didn't get super into his tape. The answer is more I would just take the best offensive lineman prospect over the best wide receiver prospect. Mm-hmm. That's my point.
Yeah. I don't hate that.
It really has nothing to do with maybe Penny Sewell's not that great of a
we talked about earlier.
I know some people thought Rashawn Slater was better than Penny Sewell and thought he should have been the first tackle.
I guess I heard that. Yeah.
I think when anytime you're talking prospect and you're talking offensive tackle,
3 months.
I'm talking. That's not where I was going to go with it. I was going to say anytime you're talking offensive tackle and then he has tape against the previous year's number 1 overall pick, like dominating him, it's like, whoa.
This guy's already one of the best defensive ends in the
NFL. There's NFL guys that can't block this guy. You know. But yeah, so I would have gone that. And then we talk about protecting your franchise quarterback. I'd go line first, then wide receiver, especially when I think the Bengals have a pretty good receiving core as it is. But I can at least understand the idea of they have a relationship Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase have a relationship. Similar, I would have gone Devontae Smith over Waddle, but similar for Tua and getting him one of his Alabama receivers. Like, I can at least understand the thinking there. That's just not where I would have gone.
Yeah. So, anyways, Rashad Bateman.
Right. That's your loser, even though he's your guy.
I feel bad for Rashad Bateman.
You're saying Rashad Bateman is a loser. That's what you're saying.
Rashad Bateman is a loser.
Can I give you some more losers of mine? But they're not losers because of the types of player they are, or because of even the teams that pick them. But my thing and my whole philosophy.
Why are they a loser?
I'm going to tell you.
Oh, sorry. Is that what your philosophy was?
Yeah. My whole thing, and maybe this is skewed because I'm a 49ers fan and I've just become traumatized to injuries, but the injury concern guys that are drafted high, I consider those, I don't want to call them loser picks. I consider them bad picks for the team. And I had a couple of them. Caleb Farley.
Yeah,
to the Titans.
2 back surgeries.
Where it's like, listen, man, you get a lockdown corner for that Titans team. That's great. I understand it. But taking a first-round pick on a guy who, 1, couldn't get through the season, 2, couldn't get through the draft cycle process.
Yeah.
Like, he got hurt again in the training or something like that. Like, so that would be scary to me. I did have JOK on there on the loser segment just because, listen, I hope he's a great linebacker, but there's obviously a reason he fell.
Yeah, but did you hear why? And I didn't do a whole lot of research.
I don't know the exact injury, but it seemed like most teams had taken him off their board of just like degenerative knees type of.
Oh, see, I heard injury. It was something else. I thought it was like I might be getting this mixed up with something, but like chronic like chest pains or like something like heart something. He was going through this where like people thought he was going to have this for like the rest of his life, and then ended up. The physical came back and it checked out totally clean.
That's not what I heard. I don't know. I'm not in those meetings. But I'm just saying those players in general. Mm-hmm. I think also Walker Little, tackle from Stanford, tore his ACL. But
at a certain point, like JOK at 46 or whatever the Browns took him out, like that's a good pick, right?
Yeah. So, again, this is all, traumatic experience from being a 49ers fan. But this is what Trent Baalke, the old 49ers GM, used to do. And it was kind of the demise of the Harbaugh 49ers teams, I felt, is that he would only draft guys that were coming off of injuries. And because they were all supposed to be, he'd draft like 4 guys in one draft that originally were supposed to be all top 10 picks. Yeah. But 3 of them had torn their ACL, so they had fallen, and he'd be like, this is good value. I'm like, well, ultimately, all of them never ended up playing. Like they had one where they drafted Tank Carradine out of Florida State who tore his ACL.
That's a great name.
Do you remember that player?
No, yeah, I do remember.
And at the time, it was the steal of the draft. Yeah, it was like they got a guy had every Mel Kiper, Tom McShale. This is a guy had in the top 5 before he tore his ACL. They got him in the 2nd round. And then like the 4th round, they got I forget his first name, but Lattimore out of South Carolina, the running back. That gruesome injury.
What the hell was his name?
I forget his first name. I can't think of anyone other than
Marshawn.
I can't think of anyone other than Marshawn Lattimore.
That's what I'm thinking of.
It does, Marcus.
God.
Thank you. Right, and that was in the 4th round. He was, oh my God, with the Jim Harbaugh running game. This is gonna. None of them ever played. Yeah, because they had gruesome injuries. So at some point, it's like, yeah, that would be great, type of thing. But I get worried about taking the injury guys. To me, are day 3. I'm taking a shot on an injury guy. I think I had one of my winners was Trey Smith, the guard out of Tennessee. Mm-hmm. I think I had him and Creed Humphrey. Both the Chiefs took him for their line. I thought that was a great move. Where Trey Smith, someone like that, he was thought of very highly, then some bad injury concerns. Nobody knows, but they got him in like the 6th round. I'm okay with that type of thing.
You're not wasting the draft capital. Who else?
First, 2nd, even 3rd round. I'm like, no, I'm taking on a guy that I have injury concerns over. It would be worrisome to me.
Yeah, I think we have different opinions on it. I think, like you said, you're a little bit scarred, right?
Right.
I think JOK, as long as he
just say his name,
Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I don't think you thought that was going to go that well. I'm
going to edit it, so I did it.
I am taking him wherever the Browns did because that's too good value. You're ready to win now, so you can.
Let me ask you a theoretical question. Mm-hmm. Let's say he never plays in the NFL. Was it a good pick? I don't know, it's a hypothetical, and who knows about anything. I'm just saying, like, let's say the stuff comes true, and he's never actually able to get on the NFL field. Like, constantly in camp, he's looking good, then he gets hurt. Like that type of stuff. He never actually plays for them. Are you saying that's a good pick?
It's still a good pick.
Okay.
Because the value is there.
No, if that's how you feel, then I would say then go for it. To me, I go no. That I would not be able to live with myself.
Azeez Ojulari in the second for the Giants.
Yeah.
Good pick or no? Again, I mean, it's the same thing, right? I think he has the degenerative lower leg
Again,
issues.
I guess the problem is I'm not in these meetings. I'm not speaking to these doctors, nor do I understand it. Even if I was,
Even
speaking
if
to
you
the
were
doctors.
sitting right next to the guy.
But so I don't know the different cases or whatnot. But no, Azeez,
The Georgia D end, yeah.
Azeez, who I was a big fan of, taking in the second round, and he got past the 49ers, so. But no, if I hear what you're saying, no, because I think he's a good player and you get him in the second round. I guess my thing is because I've been scarred. I'll be upfront about that. That I've seen it. I've really only seen the negative side of it with the Niners.
Yeah,
and I think there's obviously cases of it working out well, type of thing. I just think the overwhelming cases are that it usually does not
work out. Terrace Marshall in the third.
Yeah. I mean, same kind of stuff. It's just, I mean, the term
I didn't know he was that talented.
The term injury concern gets thrown. I mean, that could be anything.
Yeah.
It's also tough with someone. Did Terrace Marshall, did he play last year? Or did he end up sitting out?
Yeah.
So it's just tough when it's like a guy that played their whole college career, never missed time. It's like, well, he's got injury concerns. It's like, well, he never missed a game.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that will really be, type of thing. You know, because it didn't cause him to not play at LSU.
Yeah, he played every single game. He was playing against SEC defenders every day.
So we'll see. Can I give you?
Yeah, you can give me whatever you want, Bennett.
I'm trying to. It's hard to read this at the same time while speaking into the mic.
Very small print.
Well, I mean, I don't think I get to choose the. Do I? I don't know how to make it bigger. It's not important.
Of course, you can change the font. You're not going to elementary school.
I'm gonna sidestep that one. So I'm gonna give you my point. I'll give you. One last loser, one last winner.
Please.
One last loser to me was Micah Parsons. And not because I don't think he's a good player. I've been thinking this for a long time. I've never understood people's infatuation with the Dallas Cowboys. Mm-hmm. My whole life, I don't think they've ever really been good. And I was a bigger Tony Romo guy than most people.
Okay.
And even in those years, I'm like, they're good. But every year, and it's still this year, they talk about the Super Bowl teams. They're talking about the Bucks. Maybe the Niners are back in it. The Chiefs. Don't forget about the Cowboys. I'm like, why do the Cowboys just get thrown into this? Like,
why are they good?
I don't love. I don't think from watching their games. I understand you don't just go on positional need. You go best player available. But after watching their drafts the past couple of years, no, going linebacker with a top 15 pick. I'm like, that's not what that team was missing.
Yeah.
I understand. Van Der Esch missed most of the year, and he was a big part of it. And maybe they can't count on him because of his injuries.
So many linebackers.
Yeah, Jalen Smith, Leighton Van Der Esch, and I understand Van Der Esch barely even played. And I think the point was he was such a big part of that defense that they were basically trying to get. When he was
gone, yeah.
They were basically trying to get the next one. But it's just like, no, we talked about positional value, and we talked about on the special. Yeah, I would say linebacker is probably low on that list, and
Micah Parsons is a Bennett guy, though, and I think I brought this up, and I don't have empirical
this
evidence.
is not about the type of player he is.
So what? Yeah, so he's a loser because he went to Dallas.
He's not the loser. Dallas is the loser.
Dallas is
for
the loser,
picking him,
even though he's not a bad player.
Yeah, I think most of my losers. So this is the way I pick losers.
Kadarius Toney's a bad player.
For the most part, this is the way I pick losers because it's the same way I feel about Travis Etienne. Is I go even if they become the best in the league at their position, I still think that's a bad pick.
Oh, so you're just you're giving yourself an out. It's like, I was right about that. Even though Travis Etienne is Christian McCaffrey.
No. Well, I'll be right about it if in 5 years Dallas is still Swiss cheese on defense. And I'm like, yeah, I was right. Is that he is a great individual player, but a linebacker is not what that team needed based on the other players that were on there. And we talk. My point is,
you're giving yourself an out.
That's just how I view it. I apologize if you view it as an out, but my point is what I talked about with the 49ers is that I like their process and their philosophy of their picks. So I would say on the opposite side of that, that's how I feel about the Dallas Cowboys. Is that regardless of how good these players are, I'm like, no, that to me is not targeting the right way to build your team.
Did you like the CeeDee Lamb pick last year?
No.
Yeah, right.
Hated it.
I mean, they had the Colorado State guy.
But that's my point, is that even if CeeDee Lamb becomes the best wide receiver, I'm like, I still don't think it's a good pick.
That one I get. Yeah.
All their picks, I'm like, I think all these guys are good players.
Micah Parsons,
I think Ezekiel Elliott's a good player. I think I thought CeeDee Lamb's a good player. I think Micah Parsons is a good player. You don't understand. You got a lot of stars in that team. You got a star on the helmet. I get it. You got stars in the team. you're still giving up 40 points a game.
Reference.
You're still giving up 40 points a game.
Reference.
I mean, I just at some point, like, and I think it's a Jerry Jones thing of like, he likes the big names, the flashy guys. They're easy to sell, and I get it. And they look good in the jersey, and they look good coming off the bus, and all that kind of stuff. I've always felt the same way about the Cowboys. I'm like, they're just not a good team, though.
Yeah, I don't know why they're a Super Bowl contender.
Like when I look at like the Browns, we talked about like how they're built on both sides, the lines, the secondaries, the weapons they have, the complementary pieces they have. I'm like, yeah, I look at the Cowboys. I'm like, you got a lot of good individual players, stars or whatnot.
But not the team.
But it's like, and just
one of the best offensive lines. I know they used to.
I think it's starting. No, because Tyron Smith retired, and it's starting to.
Did that guy ever come back? Was it Travis Frederick had like the medical
Oh,
issues?
he retired. Right.
That's too bad. Yeah.
So that was another thing is we're getting off on the Cowboys. That was why some people were like, oh, I don't know about the Dak extension because he's starting to lose his offensive line, and now we'll really find out. But my point is just. I'm not even entirely sure what my point is.
Yeah, what is your point?
My point is that the lead up to everyone knew. And they were not secretive about it, that the Cowboys were going defense.
Yeah.
They're obviously not going to tell you who they're going to pick, but we're going defense.
Yeah.
With the idea being because they knew their defense was terrible.
Yeah.
Has been terrible for a long time. And to me, I understand maybe you just want to go best player available. The type of player that Micah Parsons is to me, well, I think is a fabulous player. Love the player. That's just not not directionally where I would have gone.
Who do you take? Because you got Surtain and Horn are off the board.
Okay.
I think that's it.
I mean, I don't think that would have been too high for Greg Newsome.
Yeah.
I mean, I know, we talk about injury stuff and whatnot, but I don't think that would have been too high. You also, I don't think you had to go defense. What if you start wanting to build that lineup again? You were really good when you had the best offensive line. Maybe you go Elijah Vera Tucker. Maybe, you know what? Because they only traded back to 12. Yeah, they traded from 10 to.
So they could have gotten Slater at 10. I think the Chargers were at like 11.
Yeah, they could have.
Yeah. Okay. I don't hate that, but
I'm just saying.
But they do have a very good offense, or at least
Right.
they should have a good offense with Dak.
If you kick that table one more time,
Is it that loud?
You can't hear that?
No, not really.
I gotta turn your.
Don't turn up.
I gotta turn your headphones up a little bit so you can hear how terrible that sounds.
Touch the table.
All right. So that's why I know it sounds like we disagree on the Micah Parsons thing.
Because you said it, and I will want to give you credit. I love the idea of creating havoc, right? Turnovers and stuff like that. That's what Micah Parsons did when he played. He created negative plays in the backfield. He forced fumbles. He recovered fumbles. Like,
again, this is not on the player.
No, Micah Parsons is a great player. He's going to be a rookie of the year, but it's a terrible pick by the Cowboys.
Right.
That is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Ezekiel Elliott was offensive rookie of the year. You would say that was a terrible 4th overall pick for a running back?
He went to Ohio State. Why would you?
No, I'm just saying if you're saying winning a season award.
Yeah, but I think we've talked about. Pick. Okay, yeah.
Can I tell you my last winner?
Yeah, that's what I was pointing.
And by can I tell you, I mean I'm gonna tell you.
It's your podcast, bud.
Which was, I'm trying to bring you into the fold here, Which was, I know a guy that I said I liked, but I thought fit-wise was, I messed up his name, I think, when I said it. It's Joe Tryon. It's not Tyrone.
Tryon.
Yeah. I think I said Tyrone.
I was trying to correct you secretly on the last podcast.
It's okay, but going to the Bucks, I just think that's rich get richer type of pick. To me,
Yeah.
He can basically just spell Shaq Barrett and JPP.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's such a good
and develop
position to be in, right? Like you're the Super Bowl champions. You've got everyone returning. You have the 32nd pick. It can be a luxury, right? Like,
right. But think about the Chiefs 2 years ago went Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, it's a
he's
luxury. No, I think he's good, but it's like, you got another running back.
Yeah, you're right.
Whereas I'm like, oh, wow. Like, it's understanding this is how we win, right? We won with our pass rush and our defense, and now we've really stocked up on that. Now, if we do our job developing, he's a little raw. But let's say Shaq Barrett or JPP get hurt. We're not done.
Yeah, you still have Joe
type
Tryon.
of thing. So
yeah,
I thought that was a good pick.
I love that. There was a few picks before that. I love the Owe pick.
There were 31 picks before that.
There was a few. There was a Jason Owe. He did change his first name.
Yeah,
and I'm not.
You want me to tell you what it is?
Yeah, please tell me. Did you write it down, or are you gonna look it up?
I have it right here.
So I would love to get your opinion.
Odafe.
Adafe or Odafe?
It's spelled Odafe.
Odafe. Owe. Well, that's a fantastic pick. The Ravens, our winning team right now.
You were higher on him than I was, but
yeah. But remember when I said
that's a good spot to go for.
So
him.
I was
It's a good
talking
spot
about
for him.
Kwity Paye, right? And I said Kwity Paye could
like
be
that pick
really
to the Colts.
really
I
good.
did like that pick.
I like the pick.
You talked about going to a good defensive line.
Good defensive line and a team and a culture and a team that can develop that.
So
I think
Odafe Owe.
Odafe Owe is going to a team that will bring out the best in him, especially because he doesn't have to start right away. Like it's not it's less extreme than, you know, Aaron Rodgers sitting or Patrick Mahomes sitting, but he can play it. He can be a situational pass rusher. You know, he can do the things that he's already good at while developing and then get even better.
Yeah. What just happened?
There's a magnet on the back of the phone that goes to the car they can put up. That just fell.
Oh.
Right there.
Is that a problem, or can we just
We're
keep
not
going?
live. Yeah, we can keep going.
Oh,
I don't care.
I thought it sounded like a glass broke.
It's right there. You see it?
No, I did, but it sounded like a glass broke to me.
From the headphones.
Right, so I was like,
I
what
saw
was
it
that?
happen. I saw it.
I thought the phone fell.
I saw
for
it
a
live.
second. Anyway,
That would be worse.
We still recorded?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
When you move your hand, I can see it. The glare is a little bit tough. There was a few picks around it that I didn't love.
Okay, you want me to tell you
The
what they
Saints. The Saints took the Houston guy, and I actually didn't. I kind of like Peyton Turner, but
I have all the picks right here, so if you want me to tell you when and where they were.
just backtrack like 5 or 6 from the Bucks.
From from the Bucks?
32.
Okay, 31 was Owe.
Yeah.
30 was Greg Rousseau to the Bills.
Oh yeah, that was fine.
That's a good spot, though.
For him.
Yeah.
It's great. I think that's an organization that
I'm a big Sean McDermott guy. I think he's one of the better
from
coaches.
the Niners?
No, Panthers. He was a defensive coordinator for Ron Rivera for a little bit. I just think he's probably, the best non-offensive guru head coaches that no one really talks about.
Yeah.
Doing a great job at the Bills. And I just think for a raw edge rusher who I think we both weren't that high on, so that's a great spot for him to go.
Yeah.
After that, 29 was Eric Stokes to the Packers. I liked Eric Stokes more than you did.
Yeah, I didn't understand it. He can't move. He can't go side to side.
Yeah.
He can move, but he can't go side to side.
It's just so funny to think because he is so much better at going side to side than you are. So it's just so funny to hear someone be like, I can go side to side. He's one of the best in the world at going side to side. Now, I understand what you say. Compared to maybe other NFL players, it's not good enough. But in terms of change of direction, he's in the 1% of the world agility athletically.
I compared myself today. I had the agility of a koala. I thought that was
I don't know what that means.
slow. It's what it is. It's slow.
I didn't know if koala was really fast.
I don't think so. I've never seen a koala move fast.
Anyways, 28 to the Saints was Peyton Turner.
Yeah, I didn't get that one.
You want me to keep going?
Yeah, keep going.
After that, to the Ravens was Rashad Bateman. You like that one. To the Browns was Greg Newsome.
You can stop after this one because I
and then Etienne and Harris went back to back.
Oh, I know they went back to back. Yeah, I was thinking the Peyton Turner pick, the Rousseau pick. I was down on it first because I thought the Bills could have hit a home run, but again, I think they can develop Rousseau. I think he had unbelievable numbers his sophomore year and then didn't play very well in the next year. Where did the teammate go? Jalen Phillips
to Miami.
Yeah, I like that pick.
Yeah,
Again, the injury thing.
Yeah, the problem is he retired because of too many concussions at one point.
And he came back and he played a healthy season. I don't know, man. Yeah, I don't know either. I'm not a doctor.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, the whole Chris Borland thing with the 49ers, seeing they got concussions and, stepping away from that. I'm just, taking a guy in the first round where it's he's already retired.
Yeah.
Before he was 18 years old.
He's already given up football once.
Right.
Yeah.
Not saying he's a quitter or anything. I'm just saying, he's had to give up football once. It's he's only 18.
Yeah.
I'm going to spend a top 20 pick on that. That would be concerning to me.
I get it.
All right, let's move off of winners and losers from the draft. Do you have any takeaways just on NFL going forward in general, teams you like? I mean, we kind of covered it a little bit through the talk. I said Browns and Washington
football team. I love the Browns. I like the Washington football team.
What do you think about the Patriots? What do you think about the What do you think about the AFC East?
I think it's a scary time to be in the AFC East.
You still think it's the Bills' division to lose? Do you think the Patriots have closed the gap? Or do you think the Jets and Miami are going to cause problems?
So you used the word excited, obviously, earlier. I think it's an exciting time to be a Patriots fan because this has never happened. It hasn't happened in 21 years, right?
After the 6th or 7th championship is.
Yeah, well, I'm saying
now it's exciting.
They have it's been exciting the whole time. Last year was not exciting, right? They had the week 2 game against the Seahawks, which was a highlight game. It was Sunday Night Football. It was an incredible game. It was high scoring.
Did they play the Niners? I knew they played the Niners.
Did they win?
Yeah, they blew them out.
The Niners blew them out.
Yeah, I was trying to have that come out naturally.
Ruffle feathers?
Yeah, I was hoping that you were going to kind of discover it as...
No, I would.
It didn't work out.
After week 2 of the Seahawks game, before Cam got COVID, nothing else happened of note last year. So it was very boring. They had no offense.
People only talk about, to my understanding, the way I saw it, it was presented to me, is Cam Newton had statistically like one of the worst seasons a quarterback's ever had.
Yeah, you couldn't throw the ball.
I don't feel like that many people are talking about that.
They should be.
It's like, Cam Newton's still, he's statistically going into the season the worst quarterback in the NFL.
There's a reason that Cam Newton signed a 1-year deal with the Patriots, and then in the offseason, his only offer was another 1-year offer,
Right, but I'm saying when we talked about the whole Jimmy G thing, you were like, well, now that they have Cam, I'm like, I don't think.
Did I?
Yeah. You were like, when you said that, I was like, I don't understand how Cam has any bit of like, now that we have him, we don't need somebody else. Cam to me is coming in as the backup.
No, he's not the backup. He's a starter, but he's going to be the backup. They have.
If Mac Jones doesn't beat him out in camp, I'd be worried.
So you think over under week 2, you think Mac Jones is a starter?
I think I would not be surprised if come week 1, Cam Newton is not a member of the New England Patriots.
No, that's bad. They did sign Brian Hoyer recently.
Because his contract's not like guaranteed, right? Cam Newton. I think it was.
I don't know.
Listen, I'm not in these meetings.
You keep saying that. I know you're not in the meetings. You're sitting.
I want the people to know that I'm not secretly going and flying to the meeting.
Watch a New Girl. I know where you are.
I'm letting the people know that I'm not flying to New England and going to these meetings. But I would imagine that they felt comfortable with Cam Newton. The way I saw it when they signed him is that they felt comfortable with Cam Newton. Let's bring him back in. It was kind of before everything started, all the dominoes kind of start. Let's know we have that and see where it goes. And I wouldn't be surprised, and let's see if we get him in camp and this idea of maybe the second year in the offense or now that he's, feeling good or whatnot, let's see how he is in camp. And if he kind of looks the same and it's the same old kind of Cam Newton where it's inconsistencies and whatnot and Mac Jones, looks good or whatnot, that they just go, yeah, we're just cutting Cam Newton. He's one of those kind of surprise camp cuts.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised.
So here's why I don't think it's going to happen is the offense, at least for this year, was built in such a specific way that is going to only accentuate or highlight whatever skills he has left, right? Cam Newton, no matter how poorly he throws the ball, he's always going to be a bigger quarterback than anybody else, right? He's always going to be able to run the ball up the middle. He's going to be a good goal line threat, not because he scrambles and goes around the edge, but because if you have more numbers blocking than the defenders do rushing, he's a free man rushing, right? Like they ran very good goal line offense for the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season. It fell off because Cam got hurt and just because they stunk.
Right.
But
why does Cam get hurt? He can take all these hits and he's Superman apparently.
He got COVID.
But also in his career he keeps getting hurt because he is taking all these hits.
Yeah, he got a car accident. But yeah.
He couldn't avoid the car.
Listen. Talking about
fucked up. That's fucked up. I apologize.
You're not a loser, Cam Newton.
Oh man,
we're talking about roster construction. If you take the quarterback out of the play for the Patriots, which is obviously a big ask, they're one of the better rosters. They're not one of the better rosters. They are a top tier, maybe top 10 roster. Their offensive line is. I will go to bat with for that offensive line.
Right. Which is interesting because they lost their best offensive lineman.
Yeah, but they didn't need him. Obviously, need is a weird.
You ever watched a game with a bad left guard?
Joe Thuney, come on back to New England now. We'll take him. They don't have a bad guard. They have Shaq Mason. They have
Isaiah Wynn going to be able to stay
Isaiah
healthy?
Wynn is great.
He's been getting hurt a lot.
No, he didn't play his rookie year. Isaiah Wynn, Shaq Mason.
Isaiah Wynn's a guard now?
No. Isaiah Wynn out left tackle. I don't know what they're going to do. Isaiah Wynn, Trent Brown.
They did. They traded back for Trent Brown.
Yeah.
Such a Bill Belichick
6th round pick or something like that.
Such a Bill Belichick
He's going to play well.
Trade a third to the Niners, win a Super Bowl, let him walk in free agency, 2 years later trade back for him for even less capital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isaiah Wynn, Shaq Mason, David Andrews, Michael Onwenu, who was a revelation, a rookie out of Michigan, and then Trent Brown. You got Marcus Cannon and Ted Karras back from the Dolphins.
That's a good O-line.
It's a very good O-line.
Good O-line.
Hunter Henry.
Good O-line.
Jonnu Smith.
Yeah.
Like, I know you don't like PFF, but like statistically, that O-line was very well graded last year.
Right. I'm not crazy about the PFF O-line grades in particular.
Okay.
Because also the Niners, I think, were graded as a top 5 offensive line, and I think they were the worst offensive line in football last year.
That can't be true.
They were so bad. What it is they're so good run blocking. So I think the cumulative grade is good, but pass blocking is brutal. I mean, they almost got Jimmy killed.
Who's the offensive line?
They got Nick Mullins killed. They got Beathard killed. I mean, they got everyone killed. Now those guys are slow processors.
Justin Fields.
But I'm just saying, like, I've seen guys get really good PFF grades, and then you watch the games, and I'm like, oh my god, they can't keep anyone upright.
I think the Patriots. To go back to
but I'm saying go off of that. Go off of offensive line. Like, what else they got?
Well, they got a good defensive line. I don't know. So I shouldn't say they have a good defensive line.
Is J.C. Jackson coming back?
They made, I think so.
A lot of things that they're trying to trade him, and
they were trying to trade Stephon Gilmore. Like, I got a buddy who lives in Foxborough. He's like, oh yeah, Stephon Gilmore just put his house on the market. And I was like,
oh my god, that's my favorite. I love when people start like dissecting. I'm like, you guys realize how much money these people have?
Yeah.
None of this is
matters.
They just buy property where they want to buy property.
Yeah.
Like, oh, so and so bought property. I remember it ultimately came true, but like when LeBron was, I think he like bought a house in LA, and people were like, oh, he's coming to the Lakers, which I know he did, but I'm just saying, like, it was like, or LeBron just wanted to buy a house in LA
because everyone else lives in LA.
He's also got a house in New York, and he's got a house in Cleveland. He's got a house in Miami. He's just got houses because he can, and he just wanted to own property.
Yeah.
Okay.
Patriot. No,
I think
Jackson, Hightower back.
Right.
They signed,
and they got Bill Belichick still. I'm expecting the Patriots to be a tough team.
Matthew Judon. They signed a bunch of good guys.
I like that.
Yeah.
I've been over. I think I've just been been over Cam Newton for a while now.
I'm over Cam Newton.
I know, but a lot of people are like, well, it was one season. I'm like, no, I'm talking about the last 3 years in Carolina. Basically, since that Super Bowl year, which was 2015. I want to say
2015 season, 2016. The Super Bowl was in 2016, so the 2015 Super Bowl.
I think if you just say I think that would have.
I was doing math. I was doing math. I think there's situations like I was with this.
Anyway, I'm just saying that's now 5, 6 years.
Are you able to dictate like when the Super Bowls are by where you were at the party? Because I can do that.
No. I've maybe been to a handful of Super Bowl parties in my life.
I've been to.
I went to a Super Bowl party. I regret for multiple reasons, but I went when the 49ers were in it.
You can't go when your team plays.
Yeah.
When the Patriots play, I'm either going to I mentioned my buddy in Foxborough. I'll go up there because everyone's dialed in. Yeah. But the Broncos, Panthers.
I just in general.
What's the worst?
No, I understand.
Go and get.
All right, that's a good point. You're right. When it's your team, because I was gonna say in general, I don't like going places to watch 49ers games. I just like watching it by myself.
In general, I don't like going places. Period.
I probably could have stopped it there, but I'm just saying, like, I've been to 49ers bars, and I hate that. Mm-hmm. And we're all rooting for the same team. I just hate. I like.
Where's the 49ers bar in San Diego?
They're all over the place. There's a lot of them. This is a heavy 49ers fan.
There's just Northern California in general. There's a good pipeline down here.
Anyways, getting back to the teams and Patriots and
Yes.
What I was going to say is, I expect him to be good, but I don't expect much from Cam Newton.
Bills division to lose, but I think the 3 teams below them are improving. I think the Dolphins.
The Jets could only go one way.
Yeah, but I mentioned earlier, I think the Jets are doing it the right way. I think they're doing it very similar to the Browns.
I expect after the Jets play the Patriots, there will be talk about, is Zach Wilson a bust? That's what I project after the Jets play the Patriots. So
okay, you're not really going on a limb. That happens.
No, but specifically about like the young quarterback of just like he made them look so bad type of thing, and they're just
when has like generation. This is if you want to cut me off here, you can. But like,
all right, moving on. No, I'm just kidding.
The podcast I was listening to today was talking about like generational talent.
Stop listening to other podcasts.
Oh,
I'm kidding.
So I get my information.
Generational
like
talent.
Stealing.
I hate that term, by the way.
I don't really get it. So they were talking about
just in general. If you realize that you've used it multiple times in the past couple of years, you can't use it anymore.
He's a generational talent.
Every year in the draft, this guy's a generational talent. He's not even now a top 10 player.
It's the buzzword generational talent, but we know what it means. How many times have we been the experts, been wrong? Like Andrew Luck was a generational talent.
Oh, all the time.
That was a hit.
Yeah. My experts are wrong all the time.
About generational talents, though?
Yeah. They throw it around so much.
Like, yeah, I suppose.
I mean, Jamarcus Russell was a generational talent.
No, I don't think he was. I wasn't around.
I will say I remember, and he's a polarizing player because it depends. There's multiple different takes on him, but Carson Wentz was thrown around as like a generation.
Really?
Yeah.
Because there's one quarterback.
And it's but Carson Wentz is such an interesting one because like he was really good at one point.
He was good for like 8 games.
But it was like he was going to win the MVP that year.
Yeah.
It was like second or third
his
year.
team won the Super Bowl, which was strange without him. So like, how good was he?
But no, it wasn't. I think it was like 12 games.
I
think it was like 12 games. I think it was deep enough in the year where people were like, he's probably winning the MVP and even winning the Super Bowl because they had the 1 seed that year because he had played them to that. Where I think a lot of people, yes, Nick Foles played great to win the Super Bowl, but they probably if they don't get the 1 seed, the first round bye, and the NFC Championship game at home, that probably is not possible. So Carson Wentz deserved a lot more credit for that.
I wish it wasn't possible.
Right, but I'm just saying,
it sucked.
He was really good. Then injuries, but like there was generational talent with him.
Okay.
You're saying there's only one this year?
I think it's just Trevor Lawrence. No, I
think people would say generational talent Trey Lance from a talent.
No.
Well, he's
generational prospect.
Well, I'm just saying he's 6'4", 230, rocket arm.
He's not a generational prospect.
What?
He's not like a once in a generation generational prospect. Maybe we have to.
Well, none of these guys are once in a generation. That's the whole point.
That's your point. It's not my point.
You disagree.
I agreed, but it's not my point. Generational prospect is like the can't miss. Maybe that's it.
This is the first time you said generational prospect. You've been saying generational talent this entire time, and my point is that I think both Justin Fields and Trey Lance fit that. I would never call them generational talents, but fit that firm. Right, but I'm saying fit the description of like a height, weight, speed, all the things you want a quarterback to be able to do. All the non-coachable things.
For sure. Yeah, now let's rewind 5 minutes, pretend that I said can't miss prospect, and that's what I want to talk about. Okay. We don't have to talk about it.
The can't miss prospect is also a buzzword that I can't stand because it's been proven time and time again that...
That's what I'm asking. Like, who has been a can't miss prospect?
Yeah, this was when we were talking about what we were going to talk about. You could have told me and I would have done a little bit more research on it off the top of my head.
Let's save it for next time.
No, I'm just saying off the top. You can't just bring it up and then not talk about it. I mean, I'm just saying off the top of my head, a can't miss prospect. Let me think.
That's a cool sound.
I mean, depending on what you think of someone like Leonard Fournette, like that was a can't. And it's like, yeah, he won a Super Bowl and he's a good running back, but no, they took him.
He won a Super Bowl on a second team. Yeah,
they took him top 5 and then he got cut by the team he was on.
Yeah,
I
think you're right. Running backs. We don't count runners, but like Chase Young was a can't miss prospect, and he hasn't missed so far. Myles Garrett was a can't miss prospect, hasn't missed so far. Andrew Luck.
I'll give you an example because tell me if I'm wrong here, but it's kind of the same where a lot of people say like this guy's the safest pick.
Okay, I like that.
What I remember from would have been 2 years ago, whatever Nick Bosa's draft was that 2 years ago now? I believe.
I don't know.
Yeah, 2 years ago. So Kyler Murray went 1. And Nick Bosa went 2. And there was a lot of chatter leading up to that pick that the Niners were going to go Quinnen Williams over Nick Bosa because Quinnen Williams was the safest pick in the draft. And I would say that ultimately there were players that were drafted after the Jets took him at 3 that you could say are look like better prospects right now. And I would say, yeah, no, he was not the can't miss. He was like, no, he's your. I remember it was like most likely to be a Hall of Famer. You know, Nick Bosa, the ceiling of the edge rusher is different. So you go, but like just your guaranteed game record. It's like you probably could have got. You think the Jets would trade him for Brian Burns straight up right now? You know, the Panthers or. Yeah. We don't have to go through the entire draft, but like there are guys where it's like, no, that guy was not the can't miss. Not a bad player, but like there was talk of they were trying to like trade him like 2 years into it type of thing. So those are the first 2 guys I can think of off the top of my head.
Quinnen Williams.
Quinnen Williams and Leonard Fournette.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't know why I brought it up, but
speaking of can't miss,
good transition minute.
I wanted to ask you. This is something I've been thinking about. I actually want to ask you a couple different questions, all about NFL, and then when we get done with it, we'll probably end it, and it'll just be an NFL episode.
Okay.
And then we'll have you back. We'll talk about the NBA playoffs or baseball or something like that some other time.
Yeah.
So one I wanted to ask you was something we started talking about. I don't think we ever got to a conclusion on. Was you had asked me, you would send me a picture with a question of you could take one edge rusher of this group, and it just got me thinking about edge rushers and, defensive players. And I was like, oh, we'll talk about that on the podcast. And I can ask it in two different ways. I can ask it, which guy would you take for one season, or which guy would you take to start a franchise with?
I prefer to start the franchise.
Okay. So these are the guys. Okay, well, then one of these guys is going to make sense. But it's who I think is the most underrated pass rusher for the past 10 years.
Okay.
An ex-New England Patriot. But Chandler Jones, I think, has been one of the best. So I added him to the list. Obviously, you're not starting your franchise with him. So take him out. I have TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, Nick Bosa, and Khalil Mack. And then I would also add Chase Young in there. I'll flop Chase Young for Chandler Jones. And those are your guys to start a franchise with.
Myles Garrett, Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack's probably too old.
Okay. He's probably like 27.
Yeah, it's
I'm
scary.
too old.
I'm looking at you're a loser. We
made $100 million in my life by the time I was 25 years old. I'm too old. The fuck are you talking about?
talked about this with wide receivers.
Khalil Mack, turn off the podcast.
We talked about wide receivers and how I think we might have been doing this separately, right? One wide receiver.
Wide receivers are tough because there's just so many young guys that come in, and it's I'll just pick one of the young guys.
But even the old guys are not old.
Right.
DeAndre Hopkins is 28 years old.
Right.
Devontae Adams is 27.
Right. Also, I think it's always tough when you're talking about a guy you're going to start your franchise with is no matter how old they are, no one's guaranteed to play for 10 years.
Yeah.
So it's listen, what if I could get 4 good years out of this guy? Maybe that's enough to pick this guy who's 28, D-Hop or something like that. He's going to go to 32, but I think that gives me a better 4-year window than maybe a Justin Jefferson or something like that.
Might have been, anyways.
Right. So back to edge rushers.
I'm taking Myles Garrett.
Okay.
I don't really have a reason. He's just bigger than everybody else.
Right. Yeah, I wish that wasn't your reasoning for the
helmet
answer.
swing.
Yeah, there's so many things that he does that are so good that I wish your reasoning for why you're picking him wasn't just because he's bigger than everyone.
Well, he is bigger than everybody else, and that's why he
is. He bigger than Chase Young?
No, maybe not. Chase Young's pretty big. Anyways, tell me your answer.
Well, I think it's tough because I didn't
get to do any research.
I think for me, you can't answer it this way, but if I were to take injuries out of it, which I'm not going to, I'm just explaining my thought process, I'd go Nick Bosa. Mm-hmm. Just watching the impact he had on that defense.
For 1 year?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, just 1 year. Though.
The year before they were the 4th worst defense in the NFL, they added D Ford and Quan Alexander, who both were hurt by week 4. And
Nick
missed
Bosa's
the entire
great.
year, and they had the number 1 defense in the NFL adding Nick Bosa. I'm just saying.
Taking injuries out of it, you take Nick Bosa.
Right. Oh, he's also 23 years old. Mm-hmm. I think ultimately I landed on, and I don't know how old exactly he is, but this goes into, I think he's young enough to build around right now. I would probably go TJ Watt. Mm-hmm. I think TJ Watt's the best player of the group. Yeah. I think he's probably 26, maybe 25, 26.
So what I don't know. It's it's easy. It's easier to study and compare the merits as strictly pass rushers.
Right.
What I'm trying to get at when I was talking about size is that Myles Garrett just feels like a better run defender. I want, if I'm going to take one guy, I want him to be able to do both. Even if Myles Garrett is not as good, I'm hypothetically now at this point because again I don't have the numbers to back it up. But say TJ Watt averages 18 sacks a year. That's a lot of sacks. 15 sacks a year, and leads the league in pressures. Right? Okay,
so I just want to say, because I would say arguably my least favorite stat in all of football is sacks.
Yeah,
I think sacks is a terrible stat.
Sure, I think it plays a role. I mean, at the end of the day, your
job
is
to get there. It plays a role, but I think
pressures
and even sometimes maybe you that doesn't get counted as a pressure by PFF, but it's obviously
you impacted the play.
You're just continuously wrecking havoc where the other team. I'll give you. I remember Robert Saleh, now the Jets coach. He had a great quote. He was talking about Nick Bosa, and because they asked him about the impact of Nick Bosa, he goes, "What you guys don't understand is forget the sacks and pressures. Offenses are calling games completely different against us now. So our corners don't have to worry about double moves.
Yeah.
And there's certain routes that wide receivers now can't run because they don't have enough time. Now, also Buckner and Armstead and those guys help too. But his point was we needed an edge rusher he's talking about the Rams and the Cardinals, offensive minds. The playbook has shrunk 75% since we added Nick Bosa. So I'm saying that to me, and I would imagine the same for Myles Garrett and TJ Watt. But I'm saying that to me, it's more stuff that doesn't even show up on the stat book. It's just like the impact he has on the entire team. And from the Steelers games I watched, I think TJ Watt's a very good run defender.
Yeah, it's possible. I don't know.
I'd say, see, it's funny because I would say Myles Garrett might just be the better pure pass rusher, and I would say TJ Watt's the better all-around player.
So then I would take TJ Watt. You sold me. Damn. You take any defender over Aaron Donald?
To build my team around?
Yeah.
See, that's what's up, because I think he's like 30 now, 29 or 30. Yeah. I still might do it.
You're saying like I don't know, guaranteed like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah. I don't know if there's ever been a player... I realized I was about to say this. It's not going to sound as cool as I thought it was. But I was going to say a player of the opposing team. Like you're a fan of a team that is just more frustrating.
Yeah.
Than going against the Rams and Aaron Donald.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe the other guy also for a lot of years on the Cardinals was Larry Fitzgerald. Because both guys I just respect the hell out of. And they just always are just killing the...
Larry Fitzgerald's my favorite football player outside of Tom Brady.
I mean, he's unbelievable. Yeah. But Aaron Donald's the best player in football. But I'm just saying, in terms of starting I would say pound for pound, he's the best player in football.
Not most valuable, but best player.
No, yeah. Like on the top 100 list, he's been won like 5 years in a row or something like that. I would trade him and everything for Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, sure. But I'm just saying, just pound for pound, the best player. Okay. Yeah, I would say Aaron Donald.
All right, I'll take Myles Garrett.
Okay.
You take TJ Watt.
Nice. Okay, now we get. Well, now this question's not going to be as good because you just took Myles Garrett, but. I was going to say I was going to ask you to pick one player, defensive player specifically under the age of 25, and one offensive player specifically under the age of 25. Now, I have written down a couple people. I'm going to exclude Myles Garrett from this conversation because he is on the list.
Okay.
And I'll give you the defensive players first.
Okay. You have to give it to me because I'm not going to be able to off.
Well, this is just some of them. These are the group that I looked up that were under 25 that I would probably put in the group. There were a couple other ones that I was like, no, I wouldn't put them in this group. So this is what I got. Nick Bosa.
Shocking.
Marlon Humphrey.
Yeah.
Jair Alexander. Fred Warner.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not taking middle linebacker, but...
Okay, this is the group of...
Go ahead.
And Chase Young. Chase Young was the fifth one. I think it comes down to two people.
I don't know enough about Nick Bosa. Right? I don't.
Oh, that's right. He didn't play that last year at Ohio State. I would say you would have known about him.
No, I know about him. I know who the fuck he is.
Yeah.
I don't know enough to pick him in this.
Michigan quarterbacks know about him.
So I'm going to ignore that.
Could you imagine what ended up not happening? But Nick Bosa and Chase Young were supposed to be on the same defensive line at one point.
Yeah. They
Just
were.
saying. And that was that team that went to the was it national? They went to the playoff at least.
I don't know. Like, I know I don't know if you're saying like Ohio State could have been unbelievable or like Ohio State would have beat Michigan, but guess what? They do every year.
Well, they didn't win the championship that year. My point was, I think they probably would have had it, and they were supposed to.
I'm taking either Marlon Humphrey or Chase Young.
Ooh, which is great because I'm the exact opposite. Listen, I love Fred Warner, but no, I'm not taking a linebacker after I just killed Micah Parsons for doing nothing. But Fred Warner, see, it's funny because Fred Warner might be the best player of that group right now, like where he's at in his position.
Okay.
Like I think he's widely considered the best linebacker in football. I'm not. That's not my. I'm saying that's how people talk about him. You're a big PFF guy. He's the highest graded linebacker.
Is he?
Like, yeah. I mean, from pass coverage run, I'm saying he's considered.
I'll look into it.
Okay. For me, it was either Nick Bosa or Jair Alexander.
Really?
Yeah.
Is Jair?
I say I don't go. Ultimately, I don't go Nick Bosa. I'm not picking a guy that just missed a year off ACL. I'm not ranting about injuries.
Yes.
I think it was. I think Nick Bosa, from what I've seen, is significantly better than Chase Young. And I think it was a little bit of stereotyping that Chase Young, because he's a little bit bigger, he looks more the part that he was talking about. He's Nick Bosa, but even better. But I'm like, but he's not doing what Nick Bosa was doing.
Yeah.
He had like half the amount of pressures and half the amount of sacks and stuff. And I was just like, you're saying that because he kind of looks the part maybe a little bit more than Nick Bosa, but production-wise, what I saw, not saying Chase Young's not a great player,
right? Yes,
but I think Nick Bosa is definitely ahead of Chase Young all being healthy.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think my answer, the more I thought about it, was Jair Alexander. I'm surprised you go Humphrey over Alexander.
Yeah, I mean, he's just... I don't know. I think he's one of the best... So I think you need one of those two, right?
When we're doing this player or that player, and you think if I choose this player or that player, that the player I don't choose, you think I think he sucks.
I didn't say that.
You're like, well, I just think Marlon Humphrey's a good player. I'm not saying Marlon Humphrey's not a good player.
I think he's one of the best.
I agree.
The reason he's on this list,
I agree,
is because he's one of the best cover corners.
I agree.
The league.
There's only a handful of people that are better than him. Jair Alexander happens to be one of them.
Maybe it says you. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't have enough empirical evidence to say
fake it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have empirical evidence to fake it.
Okay.
Is that what you want me to say?
No, you're going to go Marlon Humphrey and Chase Young.
Chase Young.
Okay.
Yeah, and you're going to go.
Okay, well, but I'm saying talking about going premier edge rusher or premier corner to start your team around. That
I'm going premier edge rusher.
So it sounds like you're going Chase Young.
Yep.
If you're number one, outside of Myles Garrett, you're number one under 25 defensive player.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Because
for the sake of argument,
where say Nick Bosa doesn't have the health issues? Or, if that's
he's number one by far.
Is that because he's that much better than Jair Alexander is as a football player,
so
or because
I can only tell you what I saw. And now I watch a lot of football games. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I don't.
Niners.
I watch every second of every 49ers thing. I watch a lot. Also, I watch a lot of Packers games because they were also an NFC team. So I see a lot more of Jair Alexander. I watch a lot of Ravens games. Humphrey is a great corner to me. I'm not downplaying Humphrey. All these guys are great players. I just have never seen like one player impact a team as drastically as Nick Bosa impacted the 49ers defense. They were so bad the year before that. I mean, Robert Saleh was supposed to get fired after year two. They had like the 28th ranked defense. They couldn't cover anyone. They couldn't get to the passer. They had the worst pressure rate.
Last year?
Last year they were pretty good. They fell off a decent amount because they didn't have Nick Bosa. But I think that's what ultimately got Saleh the head coaching looks.
Yeah.
As opposed to the Super Bowl years. They're like, okay, that was more impressive. Because everyone was like, well, we only know that he's got a good defense with Nick Bosa on it.
Yeah.
Every other defense he's had without Nick Bosa has
Nick
been
Bosa
terrible.
was that good as a rookie?
Yeah.
And that's all we've seen.
Yeah. And I mean,
is he gonna be healthy to start?
Yeah, he's supposed to. He's supposed to be. Like I remember, like they're experts, and it was a tough Super Bowl. They lost to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were talking after the Super Bowl. Unbiased opinions of like, listen, a lot of good players on that field. Nick Bosa might have been the best player on that field. Like the way, but he had like 12 pressures in the Super Bowl, like 2 sacks.
Yeah.
Seconds away from getting to Mahomes before he hit that long 3rd and 15. Maybe it was a hold, maybe it wasn't.
Well,
not a
we
big
don't
deal.
have to talk about it.
No, I'm not. I'm just
short on time. Huh?
Right. No, we're good.
Are we good?
Yeah. Oh. No, I mean it's been long, but it is what it is. But all I'm gonna say is the impact that he had. I've never seen that before, so that's probably why I would go him over anyone else. But I think I'd probably go Jair Alexander. All right, we'll end on offense.
I love it.
Offense.
Yeah, let's do offense. I know offense better than.
Okay, this is what I have.
Christian, a fantasy football guy. That's so much easier.
Okay, Christian McCaffrey.
Okay. To start players under 25 to start
under
a team
25.
with?
Yeah, start a team with Christian McCaffrey. I have a surprise one. I know you're not going to pick him, but I thought he needed to be put in the conversation. Quentin Nelson.
Okay. Interior lineman, yeah. That's
guard for the Colts.
So far we got a running back and an interior lineman. So
DK Metcalf.
Okay, a guy who can run straight. that was mean. He's a good receiver.
Nick Chubb.
Another running back.
I should say this is excluding quarterbacks.
Yeah, I figured so.
Okay. AJ Brown. And then I realized as I was writing this, or just all the young wide receivers.
Yeah, like Justin Jefferson.
Brandon Ayuk, CeeDee Lamb.
Putting Brandon Ayuk in there.
I don't watch 149.
I love Brandon Ayuk. I think he's great. I'm trying to get him.
He had a great season. I don't know what you're talking about.
Awesome.
He had a better season than CeeDee Lamb, I think.
I wouldn't have put CeeDee Lamb in there.
Or Henry Ruggs or Jerry Jeudy.
Thanks. Judy's disgusting.
Okay, I'm just saying, but Brandon Ayuk had a really good rookie season. With Nick Mullins? You can put up numbers with Nick Mullins. You're a really good wide receiver.
Yep.
I might take him over Jerry Rice because he can put up any amount of yards with Nick Mullins as a quarterback. I'm so sorry, Nick, if you're listening to this.
They're going to apologize to Jerry Rice.
Or like all the young receivers.
Yeah. What about?
I think you're hating on Quentin Nelson a little bit.
What about Tristan Wirfs?
Yeah, he'd be in there.
I mean, he made that offensive line legit.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty good. They were kind of a right tackle away from being a good offensive, but they do have good tackle, guard, center, guard, kind of just waiting for that finishing piece. It felt like Ali Marpet.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting the left tackle's name, but I think he's a pretty good left tackle.
Smith.
Donovan Smith.
Donovan Smith.
Yeah.
Donovan Smith is my guess. Yeah.
So I mean, like I thought they had a good line already.
Okay.
No, Tristan Wirfs definitely. Yeah, you could put Tristan Wirfs in there. I think you're downplaying the interior offensive line. We talked about this on the special of like, no, I would say Quentin Nelson is the best interior offensive lineman in football.
Yeah.
Tristan Wirfs is one of the better right tackles in football. So I'm saying, like, I don't think it's crazy to say I would take Quentin Nelson over Tristan Wirfs.
Yeah. I am taking
This is excluding quarterbacks.
Yeah. How old is Patrick Mahomes?
Under 25.
Is he?
I think so, or just like right around 25 now.
That is scary.
I didn't see when this list was made, but it was made within the last year.
Yeah. I think there's some other left tackles that I don't know. And Jedrick Wills.
I don't think there's many like premier left tackles that are under 25. You got obviously the ones that have been drafted in the past year or two, but they've not become like.
Yeah, Jedrick Wills, right, for the Browns. I think he's top tier. Anyways, I'm not gonna pick one of them. I'm gonna pick a wide receiver. Off the top of my head, it's either I mean Jefferson was so good. It's either Justin Jefferson or AJ Brown. DK Metcalf is great. He's awesome. I want my wide receiver to win in multiple ways, and that's not fair to DK Metcalf because he can win in multiple ways because he's faster than everybody else, he's bigger than everybody else, he's stronger than everybody else, he's jumps higher than everybody else. So that's 4 different ways to win. But
it all really comes down to one way though.
What?
Him running fast and jumping high.
Yeah. But there's plenty of people that
no, I'm not taking anything away. I'm saying to me the choice was AJ Brown.
Yeah.
That's who I would take.
So I think Justin Jefferson broke rookie records. I mean, he did something that no other rookie wide receiver.
You're a much bigger stats guy than I am.
Yeah, because that's how I can't get
numbers can lie.
You heard men lie, women lie, stats don't lie.
Yeah, I don't subscribe to that.
That's obviously not true. You don't read Matthew Berry, the fantasy guy in ESPN.
I know who he is.
He does a thing every year where he basically puts 2 stats out there, like one stat to make you Bennett Perry look like you're unbelievable. B is like player, player A is unbelievable. Player B is the worst player in the league. Same player.
Right.
So yeah.
So I think that's ultimately why I never got into fantasy football is because I don't like
stats.
There was just so many guys where it's like, no, he's a great fantasy player. I'm like, but he's not good. I'm like, yeah, but he's a great fantasy player because he puts up fantasy points. He's a quarterback that because he sucks, he gets to throw a lot of yards late in the game.
Josh Allen is a better fantasy quarterback than he might be real life because he runs.
I mean, he was a great quarterback last year.
Yeah. Well, he was a great fantasy quarterback last year.
Okay, I'm just saying.
I'm taking Justin Jefferson. You can take AJ Brown.
You're taking Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, over AJ
One
Brown.
rookie year.
Yeah. Yeah, he's that good.
We sure, even without Adam Thielen, that he's...
Yeah, no, he's that good.
Okay.
He's always open. I watch a lot of Vikings because of Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen was on my fantasy team.
Okay.
And that Vikings team is going to be kind of good.
So I think part of the reason why Justin Jefferson gets his flowers...
Even with Aaron Rodgers, the Vikings win the NFC West next year. NFC North. They would have a hard time winning the NFC West.
So even... And now I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, I think part of the reason why Justin Jefferson gets his flowers, as you say, that's a term that I've heard. No, I said people. A lot of people you picked him as your number one offensive player.
Yeah, I didn't say anything about flowers, but continue.
No, but it's a term of
saying.
It's a saying. Thank you.
Say that, yeah.
People, a lot of people have been hyping up Justin Jefferson is because how many people underappreciate, in my opinion, Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, I think he's
and that they go, Kirk Cousins is a terrible quarterback. So the fact that this wide receiver is able to do this with a terrible quarterback, he's really good. When I'm like, actually, for a rookie receiver getting Kirk Cousins, I think that's a pretty good deal. That's as good of a deal as for a lot of where the rookies went in the draft, of the first round of that draft. Yeah, I would say he ultimately, with a guy who's a proven number one across for you, so they can't center on you, and a guy who throws a very good deep ball, very good passer. There's been talk about how he is in the big games and stuff like that, but a very good passer. Mm-hmm. Every receiver, Stephon Diggs put up numbers, Thielen put up numbers, every receiver's put up numbers. That's a good spot for Justin Jefferson to go.
Terrell Pryor put up good numbers with Kirk Cousins in
Washington. I don't think Kirk Cousins... Oh, that's right. He was in Washington.
Yeah. AJ Brown, you can say the same thing. I don't think you're discrediting.
Yeah, see, I'm not the big. Yeah, you're right. I'm not the biggest Tannehill guy. So that
Really?
yeah. No, I think he's good. I think he's good.
Think he's better or worse than Kirk Cousins?
Worse.
Didn't we have this conversation?
I think I'd rather have
what
Kirk
a
Cousins.
great. I love this hypothetical. Would you take Kirk Cousins on a rookie deal as the
Give me quarterbacks
top
and ask me if I take them over Kirk Cousins, and that's how we'll end it.
Oh, I love this. To start your team or one season?
We'll go just to have on their team for the next couple of years.
Next couple of years, short term.
Yeah. Contract and everything.
Contract and everything. Right. Josh Allen.
The answer is Josh Allen.
Yeah.
It kills me, and there are
tough.
people that might be listening to that. I've been very hard on Josh Allen, so they'll probably take that as a victory of me conceding that I was wrong about Josh Allen, which I'm not willing to do yet. But yeah, you got to take him over Kirk Cousins.
Right. Zach Wilson.
Kirk Cousins. This is for like the next year or two.
Short term.
Right.
Like, let's say 3 years. Let's say a 3 year
Kirk
span.
Cousins. Kirk
You
Cousins.
got to win as many Super Bowl. You got to. Okay.
Kirk Cousins.
I can't say this.
It's also me taking him in if I'm thinking if I'm the Niners or what. And I'm not like losing anybody. It's just me taking him as the quarterback. It's not like, well, with his contract, then you lose this player and that player. It's just like them being the quarterback of your team. Right. Yeah.
I'm taking, including Matt Stafford. Jared Goff.
Oh, Kirk Cousins.
Yeah. Jimmy G. I wanted to say that one for last. Maybe that could be last.
So this is what I'll say.
Bring us home, Bennett.
I think it's close enough where I can go just preference. And for me, I got to go with my guy, Jimmy G. I think I am so fucking tired of people shitting on Jimmy G. Okay?
Your front office is doing it.
No, how?
They're letting him go. He's gone.
But show me. What team is he on right now?
He's on the Niners, Bennett.
Okay.
Go ahead.
He's at camp. They just put a video of him showing up to camp. He's all smiles. Couldn't be happier. He's a starting quarterback.
Turn my volume down. You're yelling.
No. I'm saying people shit on him and it bothers. I totally understand why the 49ers wanted to try to upgrade the position. Mainly because Jimmy's been hurt so much. They just want a durable guy. He's a good quarterback. He's not a great quarterback. I'm fine with that. I think him and Kirk Cousins are kind of equal. I think there's something Kirk Cousins does better than Jimmy and vice versa, where I think it's enough where I can go, I'd rather have Jimmy because that's my preference. The answer would probably be Kirk Cousins just because he's more durable.
Yeah.
But just from a play side, I think not enough people give Jimmy credit for what he did for the 49ers. And almost similar to the kind of the Carson Wentz thing of how well he played in the season, allowed them to win a Super Bowl. People talk about Jimmy G in the playoffs and the Super Bowl. They don't even get to the playoffs without Jimmy G the way he played during the season. They don't win in New Orleans. They don't win either Rams game. They don't win either Cardinals game. I mean, he otherwise they're just a good 9-7 team that missed the playoffs. Otherwise they were a 13-3 team.
Jimmy G do from here? Because Trey Lance is the starter in
maybe
16 games,
maybe
32 games.
The owner came out. Can we get back to the quarterbacks over Kirk Cousins?
Yeah. I have too many other quarterbacks.
So with Jimmy G, I would say the owner said, "Listen, if Jimmy comes out and he plays great and we go to the Super Bowl, well, Trey Lance will keep paying and Trey Lance will be our backup. Yeah. Like Jimmy is the quarterback if he continues to be the quarterback." I mean, similar to Favre and Rodgers. Not that Jimmy's Favre,
right?
But
yeah. Listen, if Jimmy G can get you to the Super Bowl, you're going to keep Jimmy G.
Or similar to Breeze Rivers, where I think it went on a little bit longer, and then finally it was Rivers. His rookie contract was going to be up, and they were like, "No, we're going with Rivers." Yeah. But they let the 4 years play out. I want to say so. I think it'll be the same thing.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going Jimmy over Kirk.
Over Kirk.
Admitting that's just because of preference.
Yeah. Okay. So basically 50. Split the difference. Yeah. Who's the quarterback I just had in my head? Oh, the two young guys. Herbert?
Yeah, I'm going Herbert. I think he's very impressive.
1 year.
Yeah, enough.
Not Justin Jefferson, but Justin Herbert.
Right. No, quarterback and wide receiver are the exact same thing.
The exact same.
Right. Yeah, knowing the playbook, reading defenses, all that kind of stuff.
Joe Burrow.
That's going to be a problem.
Joe Burrow.
Kirk Cousins. Injury. I can't pick a guy.
One injury.
I can't. So, how many years did he play in the NFL?
1.
And did he make it through the entire season?
No.
Kirk Cousins.
Drew Brees got hurt. He tore his ACL. He became one of the best quarterbacks of all time.
Kirk Cousins.
I didn't like that voice.
I'm not picking a guy that tore his ACL the first time he played football.
1 season. This is all. You've got 1 year left to win a Super Bowl. Everything resets after this year.
Okay.
Kirk Cousins or Ben Roethlisberger?
For this upcoming season?
One season.
Oh, Kirk Cousins, no question. Yeah. I think not enough people talk about Roethlisberger's like a bottom 5 quarterback in the NFL now.
Not bottom 5.
He was so bad near the end of the year. So bad. I was having this conversation with somebody else. I don't think people realize how bad he was. For some reason, I ended up watching the last like 5 Steeler games.
Yeah, they were boring.
It was like, oh my God. They're like a bad team. They're going to get in the playoffs because they started so good, but like he is a liability.
What did he start, like 9-0?
No, I think even more. I think it was like 11 or 12.
And people were talking about.
Yeah. He was a liability for them. So no question, Kirk Cousins. No question.
Not too many people have left. Lamar, 3 years. Yeah, stop it.
Just stylistically, what I would want to do, personally, I think it's tougher than you're giving it credit for.
No.
I'm going Lamar.
Okay.
But I think it was worth more of a pause than you were willing to give it.
Jimmy G or Lamar?
Fuck you. Lamar.
Thank you.
But
don't.
Because of the injury stuff.
Okay. I'm not going to say. I mean, Lamar won MVP. Jimmy G hasn't even been close.
I mean, 2 years ago he won MVP. But...
Yeah. And MVP, and he's only played for 2.5 years.
Did he get to the Super Bowl as MVP season? Who played in the Super Bowl as MVP season?
Was it Jimmy G?
It was Jimmy G.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Jimmy G. Nah,
they went toe-to-toe in a rainy game in Baltimore.
Who won?
I mean, the Ravens won on a last-second field goal, but...
Justin Tucker.
Yeah, it was like a 50-yard in the rain.
How many
ask me the guy, man. Ask me the guy. You know the guy who just won the Super Bowl.
Oh, for 3 years. Is this the one you were
for the next 3 years?
Waiting for me to ask?
For the next 3 years. Ask me.
Kirk Cousins.
Look me in the eyes and ask me.
Kirk Cousins or Tom Brady for the next 3 years?
Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, I don't hate it. Like,
yeah,
I do agree with you. And listen, Kirk Cousins has a great receiving core as well. I think that's top 3, top 4 in the NFL. Jefferson and Thielen. But Brady had the best receiving core in the NFL. Mike Evans.
And offensive line.
Chris Godwin.
And one of the best defensive lines.
Yeah.
Probably the best linebacking core. Really good young corners.
Yeah. He had a great team.
Good safeties.
He had a great team.
Yeah. Good coaching.
But next year when you get
How's his kicker? Because otherwise he just had the most stacked team.
Wow, yeah, Bruce Arians is a great coach, but like
I'm a big Bruce Arians guy.
I'm sure you are.
I don't know what the fuck that's supposed to mean.
Doesn't surprise me at all.
Well, you used to be the Cardinals coach, and I was very happy when he was no longer the Cardinals coach.
He does wear. What does he wear?
We're not getting into why they wear what they wear.
No, he's a great coach.
All right, that's probably a good place to end it.
On Bruce Arians being a good football coach.
I might cut it before that, but
you're gonna have so much work to do.
Just that's why I have some time.
It will be hard to get this podcast up for next Tuesday.
I don't think so. I think first of all, this podcast is not coming out next Tuesday. This podcast is coming out when it was shot. You don't need to know when we recorded the podcast.
Oh yeah, the podcast is coming out tomorrow.
Yeah, there you go. No, it's gonna be fun. I really enjoy this stuff. Obviously, this was basically another just all football. I think next time I'd like to talk a little bit about the NBA playoffs. Yeah. There was a baseball scenario I wanted to pass on to you. We can maybe get that next time with a little teaser.
Okay.
For you.
What is that?
I'm not gonna tell you until I need your live reaction to it.
Yeah. Okay.
I also don't want to build it up too much because we talked about expectations. But thanks for listening. Make sure to follow along on Instagram, Riding the Bus Podcast. Follow on TikTok, Twitter. Subscribe to YouTube. Listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Oh, that one doesn't make sense because you're probably already listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. So me telling you to listen doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But just like, comment, subscribe, do all this stuff. Help us out. Really appreciate it.
Ask some questions, right?
Yeah, feedback, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Let me know what you think about Conor. If you didn't like this time, then he won't come back.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
That's important.
So thank you, Conor, for coming on again. Hopefully you enjoyed that.
Thank you for having me.
All right. That's all she wrote.